Check this out. You're an official Rob Brown lockdown. Represents Big Green. Unfiltered sports talk. Manufactured locally for the Carolinas. Rob Brown Show.
Well, hello, all you good-looking people out there. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. It's the Fan Upstate. Happy Wednesday, America. It is great to be with you once again here on the radio broadcast. It is the Rob Brown Show, coming to you live from the palatial Fan Upstate studios. My name is Rob Brown. How y'all doing? Directly across from me, in charge of this and every other radio broadcast you will ever hear that you like, is the great one, the conductor of the Symphony of Sound. That is the Rob Brown Show. He is Colonel Grudge, hashtag Dad Kicks, the alpha and the omega of the Fan Upstate. He is the great one. Lonzo here as well. Midweek, man. How we doing?
Welcome to Wednesday, y'all. Hope y'all are doing okay.
I got off the show yesterday. I left here. I went back to the house, and due to some very unfortunate realities in the household, we had to have the Roto-Rooter dude come to the house yesterday.
Did your troubles go down the drain at the end?
Nailed it.
I didn't want to give their entire jingle, you know. It's too much of a free plug.
So I get to the house. Roto-Rooter dude shows up. Roto-Rooter guy walks in. I'm talking to her for a minute or two. And I have, due to my job and lack of maturity, as I've been told, I own about 7 different uniforms, sports uniforms, jerseys, that have my name across the back.
The heck does that have to do with maturity?
I don't know. I've been told that I'm supposed to dress more grown up. I don't know. I don't care. I don't care.
How's a grown up supposed to dress? Little boy haircut, bow tie.
Bow tie. That's it.
Pants pulled up over your navel.
So I get to the house.
High orders.
I get to the house. I got a project I've been working on. I got to switch into the jersey, right? So I switch into one of my jerseys that has Rob Brown across the back, right? Because I don't just put Brown on there. I got to throw the whole name because I'm an egomaniac. And also because anybody who knows me refers to me as Rob Brown, whole name. So I throw the jersey on. I'm walking out.
And no offense, but Brown's kind of a common name.
Yeah,
so you throw the Rob on there. Lets everyone know, no, this is me.
Damn sure you know who I am.
Absolutely.
I'm walking from the bro cave in the back, excuse me, back up to the living room.
I get choked up when I talk about my kid,
I know.
too.
I get choked up when I talk about me. I'm walking back to the living room, and I walk past the guy, and he goes, "Are you Rob Brown from the radio?" And, you know, you do this long enough, as much as of a comedic genius as I am, you've got some canned responses ready when somebody says, "Are you Rob Brown from the radio?" And my go-to has always been, "Only if you like the show." So he goes, "Are you Rob Brown?" I'm like, "Yeah, only if you like the show." And he goes, "Yeah, man, I listen every day. That's awesome. This is weird." I'm like, "It's not that weird. Everybody has a toilet. Everybody has a bathtub. You're the guy who fixes toilets and bathtubs when the guy doesn't know how to do that. It's not that weird." I didn't say that to him. I was like, "Yeah, man, what a coincidence that I have a busted restroom pipe and you would be here to help us fix it."
Yeah, we've had a few people in to work on things the last couple of months, and they've seen things. It's like,
Out of context, that's a creepy sentence.
Yes,
Lonzo.
it is. Does Lonzo live here?
Yeah.
Well, yes, he does.
So are you Rob Brown for the radio? Only if you like this show. Oh man, this is weird. I'm like, yeah. That I have toilets and you fix them, and I needed that. Anyway, I'm not a jackass, so I didn't say that.
So you're more worried that
That he's hearing it right now, and it's like, oh, it turns out he is a jackass.
No, it's more. I think it's more about, the guy that we had in was working on our dish. This that's different than someone working on your toilet, because right away you're thinking, oh man, they're thinking that now he knows who I am. You're thinking that maybe I have some intestinal problems, and that's the reason why.
That. The only thing I care is, did I tee the dude off? And now he knows not just where I live, but like precisely in the house where I am most of the time. Right. So, but the guy was super, super nice. His name was Paul. Super, super nice guy. And he walks out as we're getting done and we go to sign the paperwork or whatever. And he's like, hey, by the way, I was listening this morning. He said, if Lonzo doesn't bring Clemson Boomhauer to the show once a day, I'm going to stop listening.
I don't do requests normally, but he could show up at some point.
Clemson Boomhauer is the best thing that's happened on this radio show so far.
See, you think that's what it is, but that's just a Pickens County accent.
You can call it whatever you want
which
to
someone
call it.
pointed out on the stream yesterday. That's all that is, but that's fine. He is always lurking like Clemson fans.
Clemson Boomhauer is an amazing character. I used to, back in the day, on my show back in Destin. Now, you got to understand, this is all about geography and context. But where I lived down in the Destin, Fort Walton Beach area, the show I listened to when I was driving home from college one day and was like, oh, this is what I'm going to do for a living, was called Southern Sports Tonight. And the host of it was this good old boy from backwoods Mississippi. Y'all, we live right here on the Gulf of Mexico. The Gulf of Mexico. Now, I'm going to get me some cracklings and a large Diet Pepsi.
Well, does it sound like a watered-down Dusty Rhodes?
He kind of did. He kind of did, right? So the thing about the thing about this show was, Lonzo, year round. And this was a primetime show. This was the afternoon drive. This was 4 to 7. This was not like a 9 p.m. Saturday show. This was 4 to 7 every day. 4 to 7 every day, year round. The only thing they talked about was SEC football, not college football. I could understand if it was a college football only show. It was SEC football only, year round. It would be June.
Like if you just talked about Clemson all the time.
Yeah.
That kind of show.
Yeah. It would be June. There wouldn't be a damn thing going on, right? And they would do 3 hours of Alabama's decided to change the color of their socks this season. 3 hours about how we feel about that. Well, it's the tradition that they wore the white socks with the crimson jerseys and the crimson socks with the white jerseys, but now they're changing everything, and these millennials just ruin it. 3 hours every day.
That's some good hometown local radio.
Right, it drove me up a wall. Up a freaking wall, right?
We can't all be national quality. They can't all be national quality.
There it is. Drove me up a wall. So, and I am proud to admit this. I got to a point where once I learned, and you youngers, you won't understand this, but you used to be able to call from a telephone, and before you dialed the number, you would push, *61 or *69. There was a code that you push, and if you did that, it would block the phone on the other end from being able to see the number you were calling from, right? So they couldn't see the number you would call from. So I would call this show from the office studio when I know that the guy's in the studio and I was the only other one working up there, so he couldn't know it was me. And I would *61 it or whatever it was. And I would call into the show as SEC guy, who was just a redonkulous ass character that made fun of that show in its entirety. The problem was that I realized this after about 20 calls where I was just laying in and making fun of this host on his own show. The problem, Lonzo, is I would call in and I would say stuff like that, right? Call in and be like, yo, I just heard that Nick Saban used to have the team eat biscuits and gravy before the game, and now he just switched it up to kale. Kale? What kind of millennial garbage is kale? How the Crimson Tide going to go out there and beat Auburn if all they're eating is kale? And the problem would be he would take those calls seriously, not as a gag. He would genuinely respond as if, damn, SEC guy, you're making a good point. And that character eventually got banned from the show because he caught on to it. And for like months afterwards, his fans would call and be like, I don't know why you banned SEC guy. I thought he was a smart character. I thought he was a smart feller. I thought he knew right on what the hell he was talking about. Until they unbanned me, but I never called back. Anyway, that's Clemson Boomhauer. It's a dude that about half the fans are going to hear and go, this sucks. And the other half are going to go, print him on a t-shirt. I heart Clemson Boomhauer.
I can't handle this kind of pressure that you just put on me. I may have to retire it now because now there are expectations that I'm not so sure that I can fulfill.
Listen, Lonzo mocks Clemson relentlessly, right?
I do.
And Lonzo can tell you, and those of you that watch the stream, available at facebook.com/thefanupstate, twitter.com/thefanupstate, or by searching and subscribing to the Rob Brown Show on YouTube or Twitch. Lonzo and those that watch the stream can tell you that when Lonzo leans hefty into mocking Clemson, 90% of the time I just like sit back from the mic and give him eyes like, oh, okay, you're by yourself on this one.
I was lightly banned from doing such on a couple other shows because they were worried about offending said program. But then someone downstairs just took those shackles off.
Like I said, I will never stop.
I'm the only one in that meeting went, okay.
I have never stopped Zoe from mocking Clemson on the show. Just like I don't stop any of you from calling in and saying whatever you want to say. It's an open platform. I don't really lean into it because I don't feel a need to. I'm impartial betwixt the schools we cover.
Plus, it's not necessary. I got it covered.
Right. What I will say is that while I have never banned nor promoted Lonzo mocking anybody, I will say Clemson Boomhauer's more than welcome on the show anytime. Paul the Roto-Rooter dude was like, if I don't get Clemson Boomhauer, I'm out. I listened to the show for you guys. I had a dude at the hockey game tell me last week, I listened because y'all are crazy as hell and you crack me up.
Which is, that's really who we are. We're really crazy.
Correct.
We are not. Sanity is not in this room right now.
He's like, y'all are crazy as hell and you crack me up. I love when you guys get ridiculous. And then Paul's like, Clemson Boomhauer or I quit. Which, by the way, thanks for fixing my turlet, Paul. My turlet flush is good now. Paul, I appreciate it. Anyway, got a lot of stuff to get to on the radio broadcast today. Dow Loggins is officially signed as the offensive coordinator, and in the span of searching for and finding him, Jaheim Bell is now a Seminole of Florida State. The rumor now is that Marshawn Lloyd, and this is going to really heat up a hilarious rivalry if it happens. But the dirt sheets right now say that Marshawn Lloyd could be handed to Maryland. Maryland could be going to be a turtle, which...
Why?
Yeah, that was kind of my thought.
Why? I mean, okay. So you want to go to the bottom of the Big Ten? Okay.
I think it's, I've always kind of recoiled a bit in the past when a kid said, I'm going to this school, and we're like, why would you go to that school? And Lonzo's response has always been, that's where the NIL bag is, apparently. Right?
Yeah, but it's Maryland, man. Money ain't going to help you there.
Hey,
Why would you want to go there?
The Turtles got some boosters, and Maryland's a beautiful state.
I like the Terrapin as a mascot. Fighting that's kind of wicked.
A tortoise or a turtle? I think it's a turtle, right?
It's a Terrapin.
Right, but is that a tortoise or a turtle?
It's like a prehistoric fighting turtle.
No, they are not prehistoric. There are terrapins around today.
You see how I offended him because I said they were prehistoric? I'm sure they have prehistoric origins.
They do.
Thank you.
Terrapins are one of several small species of turtle. Oh, they're small turtle. You didn't even pick a big turtle? You guys could have had any mascot you want. You want it with a small turtle?
Are they vicious or poisonous or something?
Terrapins are one of several small species of turtle that living in fresh or brackish water. Terrapins do not form a taxonomic unit and may not be closely related. Many belong to the families of these two things that I can't say and won't take a shot. The name terrapin is derived from terope, a word in the Algonquin language that referred to the species another turtle. It appears that the term became part of common usage during colonial era in North America and was carried back to Great Britain. Since then, it has been a common name for testudines in the English language. The Maryland turtle specifically is a diamondback terrapin, a species of turtle native to the brackish coastal tidal marshes of northeastern and southern United States and the Bermuda. So there you go. You learned something. You're all smarter about your turtles today.
Okay, but how are they vicious? Are they vicious in some way? Okay.
You know, every turtle that everyone you've ever known owned at some point, all terrapins.
So they're not like a snapping turtle where you might lose a finger or something.
They're like sliders, like little red and yellow-eared sliders are terrapins.
I don't know what it is.
That's the pet turtle that your weird friend had.
See, when you say slider, I think White Castle. Down here, they think something else. But
they are not poisonous. They are not venomous. They are not vicious.
They're just kind of, hey, look, it's a turtle.
They're just cute little turtles.
Wow. I just
lost some respect for you, Maryland.
Here's the only reason why I think he would go to Maryland, because if he shines in Maryland, I mean,
Again, by the way, this is all rumor at this point. We don't know for sure that's where he's going.
All right. So I'm curious because I know Clemson fans will say this. Is this a lateral move? Is this a step down?
Step down.
Is it okay?
You're a Big Ten guy. You know it's a step down.
I absolutely know.
You know it's a step down.
Because Maryland went from being the bottom of the ACC to the bottom of the Big Ten. I mean, there was not much of a switch there.
It's a downward shift. But here's the question, and we'll talk about this later on in the show.
Maryland, man.
Maryland.
Oh, I choose not to believe it. I mean, go wherever you want.
Again, it's a rumor.
But still,
I don't care what criteria or compensation you would like to go to a school to. I will never fault a kid for going to the school that he believes it is in his best interest to attend. But this is a downward step.
Yeah, if you're just going for NIL money, okay. But again, you're going to be showcased if they actually show the Maryland game on TV, because they don't do that a lot. But you're going to be playing some really good teams in the Big Ten, and if you show out against them, I guess it looks good. But you're leaving
the
SEC.
The same in the SEC.
Yeah, it is.
All right. So anyway, we'll talk about that. But more importantly, at the same time as Bell is out, as Lloyd is out, yesterday, South Carolina lost a pair of big-name offensive lineman recruits as well. Now, one of them had a lot of contact and conversation with Marshawn Lloyd. And the popular thought there is that he expected he was going to show up and get to be teammates with Marshawn. So when Marshawn said, I'm out, he was like, yep, me too. The other one, we're not exactly sure why he decided to be decommit. And again, before I say anything else, let me begin the show by saying this. If you tweet at recruits, you're a weirdo. Stop it.
Yeah, that is strange. Is it possible that all these players are going to be prime time?
No idea. 2 recruits. I have no idea what the hell they're
I mean, I'm just saying, Prime shows up, throws out that thing, we're looking for guys, and then suddenly people leave. It just wouldn't shock me if some of these guys don't end up there.
Dion is absolutely going to shake up college football for a couple of years. The best thing that a lot of traditional college coaches can hope for is that Dion's really good at assembling talent and then garbage at utilizing it, right? You think about what happened at Jackson State. We talked a little bit about this when Dion got hired to Colorado. Dion has yet to have to prove that he can actually coach, right? Dion went to Jackson State. Dion brought in a roster full of talent he could basically just roll his roster out onto the field, and most of the teams that they were going up against, the Samfords of the world, he just told his kids, go out there, play a little street football, and out-athlete them, right? I don't need to have a great scheme if my wide receivers run 4.3s against their DBs that run 4.8s. Snap it to the quarterback, and I want you to count 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, and then I want you to just throw it as far as you can. The question mark is more going to be when Dion has equal, and in most cases on Colorado's roster, lesser talent than some of the teams he's going to go up against, does Dion assemble a staff that can actually X's and O's in football games? If he does, and they do, Colorado's going to have some great recruiting classes over the years because it's Dion. The best thing you can hope for if one of these or multiple of these transfers are indeed heading out to Boulder is that Dion can't coach. He can get talent, but he can't utilize it or build a staff around him that can, or else he's going to be a major shockwave in college football for that exact reason. And South Carolina may, underline, bold, italics, may have just been one of the first victims of Coach Prime. All right, let's take a break. We got a lot of things we're getting into. We'll get back to that South Carolina decision. Are you starting to press the button that says concerned across the top of it, Gamecock fans? Are you getting worried? 2 big names transfer out. 2 big recruits kill off their commitment within the same 2-day period. How you feeling right now? Talk about that. Clemson fans, how much weight are you putting on this Orange Bowl result? How important is it to you and your program to win this game? We'll talk about that. I got to finally get to this Team US Greg Berhalter, Gio Reyna story. I've been teasing it 2 days and just haven't had time. I'll get to that. And Zoe and I are going to bring a little views from Mid Street to you on the show today. He is Lonzo. I am Rob. You're listening to The Rob Brown Show. It's right here on the Fan Upstate, y'all. All right, guys, got a live read, and we'll be right back. Stay right there. The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. This is the Fan Upstate. I'm Rob. He's Lonzo, and we are glad to have you along for the ride. 844-326-3663 is the number if you'd like to be a part of the radio broadcast. 844-326-3663. You can text us on the Preferred Home Services text line at 71307. 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, FAN, F-A-N, and we'll read them on the air. Texture says Maryland doesn't have an NIL bag, LOL. Yeah, I don't know if they have the collective or not. I saw a conversation on, I think, the Gamecocks subreddit the other day asking about NIL collectives because they're it used to be that a good way to prove your fandom was to be in a booster club, right? I'm a member of this booster, that booster. I genuinely do wonder long term as NIL continues to kind of evolve and shape itself. I do wonder what the impact on booster clubs is going to be. In fact, I just, as I was saying this, realized I actually need to call the president of some booster clubs that I've worked with in the past and ask them if they have had an impact, right? Booster clubs traditionally will raise money. They will send it to the university to be distributed. They will raise money for scholarships within their communities that they hand out to students from their communities, right? I know one of our big things when I was down in Destin was I worked with the Gator Booster Club, the FSU Booster Club, and the LSU Booster Club, the three largest down in the Panhandle. And one of the things that the FSU Booster Club used to do, this is, FSU baseball has a proud tradition. One of the things they used to do is very frequently there would be a baseball player from around the area that would make the team, but baseball scholarships are weird in that there's only a handful of guys that get a full ride. The rest of the guys get a partial scholarship, and a lot of them have no scholarship at all. They are truly playing for the love of the game, and they got to pay their own way to get through it. So they would do a big thing every year, and they would raise money to put towards a scholarship for a baseball player that was on FSU's team from the area if there was one, right? I wonder, with the rise of NIL collectives that fans are forming around college football, how and if booster clubs are being impacted, right? Because if you're a big enough fan that you are an active booster club member, you are giving money to a booster club for your university or college, I got to imagine that you're, at least in our area, primarily a football fan, right? Like you can get into the basketball and the baseball and all that. But like most booster clubs center themselves around the football team. Every time I got called to do a booster club event down in that area. And by the way, if there's anybody around here in a Clemson or SC or Furman booster club, if I can do anything to help, please reach out. I'm more than happy to. I'll come to your event, shake hands, kiss babies, whatever you want me to do. I'm more than happy to help.
Don't count on the kiss babies thing. I mean, if you're a listener.
I like kids, Lonzo.
That's not happening.
I don't hate kids. Stop it. Anyway, if I can help, I'll be more than happy to. Reach out, rob.brown@thefanupstate.com. Tell me when your next events are. I'll be happy to be there. Be my pleasure. Anyway, I wonder if there are going to be people who go, okay, I got this much that I like to donate to the university, but I also see the impact that NIL is having right now, right? I'm going to use South Carolina as an example. They've got the Garnet Trust, which is an NIL collective. It is effectively fans get together, pull up their money, and through that collective, create NIL agreements with players. And in return, the players, sign up and do special events for that collective, sign autographs, do it. Colton Gauthier, right? The backup quarterback for South Carolina. I had a conversation with him before the football season started because he had an NIL deal with the Garnet Collective where he's a very, from what I understand, a very good guitar player. He did a invite-only online concert for members of the collective. So you popped into a room and they had a nice little setup and Colton played music and answered questions about the program for members of that collective. I wonder how that impacts booster clubs. And in return, I wonder how, if there's an impact on the booster clubs, what the impact on the universities is going to be, right? I wonder if booster clubs are saying, okay, we have lost 10 or 20 or 30 or 50% of our donations because those diehard football fans recognize they're going to have a greater impact on kids being recruited to and staying at their university when they can put NIL money in their hands. Whereas with the booster club, you kind of give it to the booster club. The booster club gives it to the university. You don't know really exactly where your dollar went. When you give it to an NIL collective, you know exactly where it's going, right? It's going to the players. I wonder if there is an impact there. I wonder if there's an impact on the booster clubs, on the universities, and what that impact might be. We'll talk more about that later on in the show. I got some research to do. Let's get to the phone lines. Is this true? Do we have a celebrity calling? Mongo? Mongo, welcome to the show. Good to have you, buddy.
Mr. Brown, how are you guys doing this morning?
Living the dream, my dude. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing good, man. Listen, I've been a Gamecock fan my whole life. My dad was. My grandfather was. My kids are. I'm 45 years old. I've seen ups and downs, my man. And every time there's a coaching change, we have decommits. I think the reason why this is so blown out of proportion is because of the Dow Loggins hire. It doesn't seem like a lot of people's too happy about that. I say give the guy a chance. However, I like a good conspiracy theory, right? So if you look at Babatunde, they call him Big Tree, the 4-star offensive lineman that decommitted yesterday. Yep. When Lloyd, when he went into the portal, Babatunde was the first person to kind of mention that. He retweeted it, oh man, whatever. Lloyd is rumored to go to Maryland. Well, who else was recruiting heavily for Babatunde? Maryland. Where there's smoke, there's fire, man. And I think that in getting Lloyd, they got a package deal with Big Tree. I think that's what happened. I mean, it is what it is. We've got some good offensive linemen coming in, and Marky Anderson, and I think everything will be okay. I think a lot of guys are jumping off a ledge way too early. But I think in this era of NIL and stuff like that, and the NCAA is really going to have to clamp down on the tampering that's going on. The genie's out of the bottle. You can't stuff it back in. They're going to have to clamp down on it. But, these are the kind of things that are get used to it as college football fans.
Yeah, listen, the landscape of college football is evolving. You're right. I honestly, Lonzo will tell you, usually when people bring up conspiracy theories, I'm like, hey, give me proof, or I got no reason to get into that. But there's a lot of, if nothing else, there's a lot of circumstantial evidence here. And if Big Tree does end up going to Maryland, I definitely think you would be justified in believing what you believe. Does that make it tampering? I don't know. I mean, you'd have to show me that Maryland was having a conversation with Marshawn before I would say yes to that. But I also kind of think that's one of the things that will police itself in college football, because if Maryland was able to have a conversation with Marshawn that did not go public, I mean, holy crap, that is some like USSR caliber spy stuff going on. Go ahead.
It's obvious that these conversations have been going on because these kids, you can't tell me that Marshawn Lloyd just, out of the blue decided he wanted to transfer.
So here's the thing. Here's the thing. I can, Mongo, and I would make this argument, right? Is there a South Carolina fan? I'll even ask you to answer this question. Do you believe that Marcus Satterfield and Shane Beamer utilized Marshawn in the most efficient way within their offense this year? Yes or no?
Marshawn, yes. Jaheim Bell, no.
Okay. I don't necessarily we completely agree on Jaheim Bell. That's why he's gone, in my opinion. I would even say no to Marshawn. I know he had the contusion that kept him out of some big games, but even before he got injured, I think there was a lot of spots where they were running Marshawn in different techniques and out of different personnel packages that weren't really suited for him. So I'm running on a hypothetical here, Mongo. If I'm Marshawn, and I believe I have a chance at the league, and I think he does, and I think a lot of us think there's a chance he's like a backup running back caliber, backup NFL running back caliber player. If he was looking at that and he goes, okay, I didn't get run in the way that gave me the best chance for success, and while Sat is gone, at any point Shane Beamer could have stepped in and go, we're going to use him this way, we're going to change up the way we use him. I've only got X amount of football games in my college career to put down tape to prove to the league that I am worthy of playing there. And if he feels like this year was wasted, he ain't got but a couple more. He's going to want to go somewhere that says, we will feature you. We will run you out of personnel packages and into schemes that are best for you to show off your talent. And that, I'm not saying Maryland is that school. I'm not saying they're not. But if he believes another school will focus on him in a way that gets him to the league, whether that ends up being true or not, Mongo, if he believes that's what's going to happen, to me, that's a justifiable reason to move on.
And I hate to lose Lloyd, but I don't look at things in this Chicken Little mindset that a lot of Gamecock fans have. I see this as an opportunity for Lovesey Carroll to step up and show us what he's got. So I'm really looking forward to seeing him in the bowl game. Kid's an absolute stud. He's got a good size. He's apparently really fast. Kirby Smart liked him. They just didn't have room for him in the running back room. So I'm looking forward to seeing him. I don't get on board with all this Chicken Little stuff, man. The sky is not falling. I have seen a lot worse in Gamecock Nation. Me and my dad was sitting in the stands when Lou Holtz broke the 22-game losing streak and we tore down the goalpost against, I think it was Eastern Michigan. So I've seen a lot worse over my lifetime. So the sky's falling crowd needs to really, really relax a little bit and give Beamer his time and let him do what he does.
Yeah, listen, I got no problem with that. Mongo, appreciate the phone call, buddy. Great to have you on the air. I appreciate you checking in. Listen, if you are, and we talked about this on, I think Monday. If you are in the camp right now of people going, look, regardless of the decision that he's going to make, I'm going to trust Shane, right? I came up with the analogy of if the lady friend offers to cook me dinner and she goes, what do you want? And I say, I want chicken cordon bleu. I'm sticking with that. If she says, what do you want? And I say chicken cordon bleu. And then she goes to the store and she tells me, I got the phone ringing. I found the place that has the best chicken and the best ham and the best cheese for this blue collar meal of chicken cordon bleu.
You keep trying. It's not going to work.
For this very blue collar working man chicken cordon bleu. I got all the best ingredients from the best place. And I'm like, dope, love it. And then she comes home and in that bag, she's got like ribeye and mashed potatoes. I am going to go, hey, that's not what I wanted. I don't think you can make a good dinner out of that considering what I wanted, right? But she may go into the kitchen and put Ruth's Chris to shame and come out with a hell of a steak and garlic mashed potatoes that I go, man, I thought I wanted chicken cordon bleu, but this is actually better for me, right? This is actually better than I thought, better than what I wanted. Shane just came back with steak and potatoes, whereas y'all wanted chicken cordon bleu. Do you still trust him to make a good dinner? That analogy works. Shut up. Stop laughing. That analogy works. Let me take a break. We'll come back, wrap up this hour on the Rob Brown Show. Rob Lonzo and you. This is the Fan Upstate. Oh. All right, let's see. Rob Alonso, what's wrong with the high school grad football player who chooses that my career going straight to the NFL if an agent come to them? I don't listen.
There's still a rule you can't do that.
Right. I think he's asking why is that a rule?
Because the NFL made it one.
Because the NFL wants it to be. Right. Just like I wouldn't have a problem if a player decided to do that, Kevin. The NFL is a business, and that's their regulation. That's their protocol.
Also, I mean, I think it would be very rare that someone would be ready to go straight to the NFL because of body size and maturity and all that kind of stuff. They have a reason why they have that rule. And it's probably partly a deal with college football. Because you see what it's done to basketball. It's ruined college basketball.
I don't think it's ruined it. I think that
it's not very good.
You lose out on 2 or 3 players a year, right? Now, the G League has been worse for college basketball than the NBA doing a one and done.
I could say, back in my day, when college basketball players had to stay, 3-4 years, college basketball was better. Because the stars had to stay. Hey, man, don't throw the chair like you would have had.
Like, it used to be that the chair only went down if I sat forward in it. Now, if I lean back or forward, it goes down. I have to sit one way on this chair to make it work. I'm sending the email about a new chair. I don't care anymore. Who's in charge of chairs? Any idea? Steve?
He's the one that bought those. So that's my guess. I mean, you could send it to
I was going to send it to down the hall.
Send it to our boss, to engineering, and Steve, so it doesn't look like, and I know you guys are hearing this, but it doesn't look like you're just sending it directly to him. So you're covering everybody.
Boss, I've got like 2 projects our boss is waiting on me from.
Yeah, it's probably not a good move.
So I'm going to wait till I finish those and then a couple more days.
Or you could do what's suggested. You could go find the chair you like, and
there's no tall chairs.
That chair could just make its way into this room. You don't know how it got here. You don't know.
That's a nice chair. It'd be terrible if I just disappeared.
I don't know how that got here, but I'm gonna sit in it because it's right there.
I don't know how the chair got in here. I'm not responsible. What I do know is it now is in here, and I do know that it's kind of my chair now.
Do you know anything about the Vengeance? We owe some people some stuff, and I bet they got some nice chairs in there. I'm just saying. Got a nice new studio. Probably got nice new chairs. So I know where the chair next to you came from. I know where that one came from because I recognize their deficiencies and where they were and how someone brought them in here. Or you could sabotage all the chairs so they're all broken so no one has anything to sit on. And then they'll tell us it's healthier to stand up, probably. Which they'd be right.
My friend had asked for a chair, and in return, I'd get one of those stand-up desk to work off of.
There you go. Or the those sports. Trying to think the way the word this where it won't be taken the wrong way. Those big blue balls that are.
You're like Dwight Schrute.
Yeah, that are. Yeah. Although they don't make them large enough to to bring you up high enough to the microphone, but it'll go down. The microphone will go down there.
Y'all are going to come on the stream one day, and the stream is going to look like this.
Exercise ball. Thank you, Kevin. I couldn't think of it. I don't know why.
What chair? How'd that chair get there? All right. I don't ordinarily go this direction, but I'm going to here. Cocky for a reason texted the show. He said, Rob, I want a ribeye from you on our bet next year that USC's tight end doubles Jaheim's output from this past year. I keep receipts. No. Cocky for the reason. That's not the bet. That's not the bet. The bet is not that USC's tight end this year doubles Jaheim Bell's, or this next season doubles Jaheim Bell's productivity from this season. That's not the bet. My argument from the beginning was that you have an NFL caliber tight end / utility athlete on that field and you're not using him. The bet, Cocky for a reason, is that Jaheim Bell at FSU will double Jaheim Bell's output from this year. That's the bet, right? The problem was that Jaheim Bell wasn't getting utilized in a way that Jaheim Bell should have been utilized. And I don't think this is armchair quarterbacking, right? I think in the last couple of games when the personnel packages got simplified, Jaheim Bell's numbers popped up in a way that was more consistent with his talent. And then I think he recognized that and said, I'm going to go somewhere that's going to do that for 12 games, not 2, right? The bet here is not that the next tight end will have better numbers. The bet here is that Jaheim Bell himself will have better numbers. The bet here is that Norvell's offense, Florida State's offense, will have a better impression of how to use Jaheim Bell efficiently within their offense, and that Jaheim Bell's numbers in that offense will be twice what they were at SC. Because Jaheim Bell will be on the field the majority of the snaps. He will be a featured asset within those offenses. They will use him in different spots. At tight end, split him out to wide receiver, put him off at the wing back, put him in the backfield. The bet is never going to be that SC's next tight end will be better, because here's the thing. SC's next tight end being better would mean that Dow Logans and Shane Beamer recognize how to utilize that tight end within their offense, a mistake that Satterfield made with number 0 this past year. I'm not betting you that the next tight end is going to be better than Bell. He should be, at least statistically speaking. The argument that I was making here is that I think Mike Norvell and Florida State are going to look at Jaheim Bell, recognize the talent, most efficiently use that talent, and that by week 6 or 7 of next year, South Carolina fans are going to look at Jaheim Bell in Tallahassee and go, holy crap, we could have had that.
And I disagree. He's going to disappear in Florida State. He's just overrated. And I'm talking about the player, not the kid. He's just not as good as you guys make him out to be. He's just too stiff. He's not fluid. He's not. I mean, a big deal was made because he didn't get to play, and everybody jumped on it. Yeah. Why is he not playing? It was more about Satterfield than it was about him, because everybody was unhappy with him. He is not going to amount to what, and I hope he's successful, but he's not going to amount to what you say he is.
Jaheim Bell is a very big, muscular dude, but he's fast as hell too. He's got breakaway speed when he gets open field to turn it on. He never got schemed into being able to use that until the last 2 games when he did.
Travis Kelce, he is not.
Travis Kelce, no one is. Travis Kelce is one of the best 10 football players I've ever watched play. That's a bad comparison. Like, I'm a radio host, but Jim Rome, I am not. Of course you're not, dude.
Why would you want to be him?
I don't know, millions of dollars, 10 weeks of vacation a year, largest nationally syndicated audience in America. Anyway, way, make sure you stay tuned at noon for Jim Rome in the jungle. It's coming up next. No, what's coming up next is hour number 2 of this incredible radio program right here on the Fan Upstate.
Businesses of all types can qualify, including those that get PPP, nonprofits, and even those that increases in sales. We have helped return over $1 billion to businesses, and we can help you too. Just go to getrefunds.com/sports, click on Qualify Me, and answer a few questions. This payroll tax refund is only available for a limited period of time. Don't lose out on up to $26,000 per employee. Go to getrefunds.com/sports. That's getrefunds.com/sports.
If you're like me, you're busy and on a budget. Do you remember a $10 lunch that wasn't a drive-thru? Well, the Warehouse in Midtown is your spot every Monday through Friday, 11 to 3. You pick from the $10 menu with items like Philly cheesesteaks, pizzas, French dip paninis, chicken finger plates, salads, and more. And all come with house-made chips and a drink. It's a food hall with a huge selection of foods and a tap house with 26 taps and TVs galore for all your sports watching needs. The Warehouse in Midtown, 1418 Lawrence Road in Greenville.
Travis Benson, owner of CNT Foundation.
Because Kev, his draft stock isn't that high right now based on what he did this year.
Or ability. Could be ability.
By the way, nephew Lou is watching. I'm sorry you're sick, buddy. That stinks, but hurry up and get better. And I've been told, and I could be wrong, but I've been told that the best thing to make you feel better when you don't feel good is indeed ice cream. That is a doctor thing. It's a smart doctor people thing. So tell Granda that you want an ice cream sundae so that you'll feel better. And I bet you feel better if Granda gets you an ice cream sundae.
Also, grandma hugs really feel comforting.
True. Not as good as ice cream, but very good, very close second place. So make Granda go get you an ice cream. My mom's name is Rhonda, and she's grandma.
No, I
Granda.
got. You're
explaining that for the
okay,
stream.
okay, all right, but you're looking at me while you're explaining it. I got it. It's a good point, Neil.
AmericanEagle.com. AmericanEagle.com, the architected P.F. Chang's website, integrating multiple third-party systems to create a unified digital experience. The results? Improved page speed and performance, personalized content based on users' location, intuitive online ordering, an increase in organic search visibility, and a 40% increase in new users. For scratch-made Asian cuisine, visit your local P.F. Chang's or go to pfchangs.com for website design, development, digital marketing, and hosting that produce efficiency, revenue, and results. Visit AmericanEagle.com. P.F. Chang's at AmericanEagle.com. Another example of the best businesses in the world. Turning to invest in the business for websites. Go to AmericanEagle.com or call 877-WEB-NOW1. That's 877-WEB-NOW1.
Have you heard the Rob Brown Show?
WWE superstar Lacey Evans joining us here on the show. Can you tell us a little bit about the shift in attitude from Lacey Evans since you made your return back? Maybe not getting the reception from fans that you want or deserve.
Man, I'm an American hero. I served my country. They should be also button on their feet cheering for me. I am sick of it. All the work I've done and everything I've done to use this platform to help Americans for what? You can't even answer that. That's the problem, man. So yeah, I'm gonna come to Greenville. I'm gonna freaking get in the ring, and I'm gonna remind everybody why I'm the prime example, and they should cheer for me. And Lord help them.
you very much, Lacey. We will see you next Friday.
You're not welcome. I got things to do.
Yeah, you see him. So there we go.
Same great show, new time.
The Rob Brown Show.
Now 9 to noon, only on the Fan Upstate.
And she's had like 5 restarts since then, as far as character goes. They'll get it right eventually. Maybe.
Now CBS Sports Radio.
97.7 FM, 1330 AM, Greenville, 97.1 FM, 50 AM, Parkenburg.
Listen on your phone. Download the Odyssey app and search the Fan Upstate.
There's a whole lot more to know about sound if you really want to go into the subject.
Your smart speaker. Just say play 97 The Fan Upstate on your HD radio at WFBC HD3. There's just one more thing. And on your computer at the fan.
FanUpstate.com. Upstate. WORD Spartanburg.
WFBC HD3, the official sports voice of you, the Upstate fan.
Should I reply to the Fan Upstate and say he is completely and utterly, without a doubt, wrong? Who is this Rob Brown guy?
Go for it. You know I'm down for some high comedy.
No, other people might jump on that. We want to give them fuel.
Have at it. That's what we want.
Wouldn't talk about the listeners.
That's also true. The Rob Brown Show is back on your radio. Our numero dos starts right now. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Mike Leach passing away yesterday. 61 years old. Had a heart condition that unfortunately led to his early demise. Mike Leach was an absolute character. And I pulled a handful of quotes, and I'm not going to lie to you. I spent about an hour listening to different Mike Leach quotes yesterday. There was one video where Mike Leach was giving a tour of his office when he was the head coach at Washington State. Some of the highlights of that tour were the life-sized animatronic skeleton pirate that he kept in his office, right? Gifted to him by Bob and Pat Knight. And the pirate talked like he was so proud of that.
As in Bobby Knight, the
Yep.
I throw chairs,
Yep,
Bobby Knight.
That one. That's the one.
Gifted him a pirate, an animatronic. That's pretty awesome.
He was so proud of that pirate. He walked up to it during this interview and he's like, "This is my pirate. It was gifted to me by Bob and Pat Knight." And it talks. Like you could see the joy in his eye. And he pushed the button and the pirate skeleton started moving and talking. It was amazing. He was showing for some reason, Mike Leach, I don't know if he like bought it in an auction or what, but apparently Mike Leach owned the death certificate of Geronimo, the famous indigenous leader. He owned the birth certificate of Geronimo. And he's like, yeah, he just showed it off. Like, this is Geronimo's death certificate. The famous Apache leader. Just had it. Just a thing he owned. My favorite thing that he had, though, Lonzo, and it was because of how effective it was when he was a Coug. He had in his office a 7-foot-tall Sasquatch, right? And I found a couple of interviews where he was talking about Sasquatch. And the best part of it was he basically said, listen, we found the fossils of dinosaurs, right? We found the fossils of all these extinct creatures that we now know existed from the fossil record. We've never found fossils or evidence of Bigfoot, of Sasquatch. But he is real, if only in our imaginations, right? And his tagline about why he had a 7-foot-tall Bigfoot costume stood up in his office was, if Bigfoot believes in himself, you should believe in yourself. And I was like, that is dumb as hell, and I want it on a poster. I don't believe in Bigfoot, but for whatever reason, Mike Leach had me ready to run through a wall with that.
You'll never find bones of Bigfoot because he's an interdimensional being, and when they die, their bones return to their dimension of origin.
There you go.
That's just how it goes.
Learn something new every day. So the interview was hilarious. But I pulled a couple of quotes, which I forgot to put on my sheet, so I'm going to try to do these off my head. Lonzo, there's one about Mike Leach on Halloween candy. Now, as the texter who said a few minutes ago, fan, Rob loves his food analogies. Yes, I do. Okay? If you follow this show long enough, you know that I can compare everything to food if you give me a minute.
Are relationship analogies no longer used on the other show?
I don't know. I mean, yes, they do. It's those two. Of course they do.
Yeah, but I would think now that,
Oh, they're both hitched?
Yeah, I mean, that
listen,
you got to change that, don't you?
We all dated, right? Like we all dated.
Okay, all right.
Now
I'd be more worried about things at home if I kept using those analogies.
I mean, listen, I think one of the things you have to do, especially when you get hitched at our age, right? Me and Mark and Diesel all in our mid to late 30s. When we finally hit that spot,
Mark is older than that.
Me and Diesel in our late 30s, Mark in his mid 40s when we hit that spot. But I think when you get hitched at our age, one of the things that you learn to have to reckon with is your partner has a history, right? Like she's been with people before, but so have you, and you both got those shared experiences, and that's a foundation of bonding. Now, their dating analogies will eventually become aged and dated. In fact, you know what? I'm going to skip the Halloween candy and go to a different one. There is one in there called Mike Leach Predicts Tinder. Okay? Mike Leach got asked, and this was from when he was at Washington State, so a few years back. Mike Leach got asked about the impact of technology on future generations. Now, this quote, for you youngins that maybe don't remember time before dating went through a phone app. Back in our day, if you wanted to take a woman on a date, you had to meet her and say hello and introduce yourselves. And you didn't have an app that was like, Rob likes these 10 things and Courtney likes these 10 things, and you both like 7 same things, so you've got a pretty good. You had to go up and be like, hi, I'm Rob. I think you're pretty. I like dogs, hiking, and food. And she would go, hi, I'm Courtney. I like dogs, but I don't like cooking. However, hiking's like okay with me. And then you had to decide, okay, is there enough chemistry here to justify spending the time to getting to know each other?
Yeah,
and all that?
That's not how it went. Rob went up and say, hi, I'm Rob.
I just went, hey.
I'm on the radio. Yo,
Yeah,
go.
you're
Can I get them digits? You know what I'm saying?
For the
Let me get them digits.
For the record, I've had like 4 relationships that have lasted 2 years or longer. All 4 of them started because I was on the radio, including the one I'm in now. You're not wrong. Anyway, Mike Leach got asked about the impact of technology on the next generation, and Mike Leach predicted Tinder. Listen to this.
I mean, 10 years from now, there ain't going to be anybody talk to anybody. It's going to be this. Do you want to go out on a date with me? I don't know. What do you look like? Well, I look kind of like this. Okay, well, what are your interests? Well, what do you think my interests are? Looking into this thing and typing into this, just like yours are. Well, yeah, no kidding. That's what everybody's doing. Yeah, that's right. Virtually everyone. Well, where do you want to go? Well, what difference does it make? Because all we're going to be doing is looking in this machine anyway. Well, that's true. In the end, it's going to be tough to perpetuate this, the species. There's no question about that. Well, we're going to enjoy looking in this box, and eventually we're all going to be extinct and die out. Well, that's how it ends, You guys good? All right.
Mike Leach called Tinder before Tinder.
He also predicted something else that I don't think you noticed.
The end of the species?
No. The birth rate in America, at least, and maybe in the world, is down. So he also predicted that.
Yeah, I don't think you can blame that on apps. I think you can just blame that on the fact that the majority of younger people.
However you want to blame it,
he was right.
He predicted that because that's how the species dies out, because they no longer procreate. You no longer have anyone
for the record, there's way too many of us, right? We agree with that. There's too many people.
Listen, Thanos. No,
there's too many people.
No, I don't agree with that.
There are 8 now. Okay. There are now over 8 billion people. There's too many people. All right. There just is.
Okay, I disagree with you.
I'm not going any further than that statement.
Thank goodness. But anyway, he predicted that too, and he might be better than Simpsons.
I will say this. First off, there are too many people on the planet. Second rate, the birth rate is not declining because of Tinder. It's declining because younger people are looking around and going, hey, a lot of this sucks, and I don't really want to put another person in it.
I think you're taking this way too personal. I'm just pointing out the stats. I don't know the reasons why, but you can make stats look, this is the reason, if that's what you want to do. And it may be or it may not be. I'm just pointing out that he said that.
And he was right.
And he was right. That's all.
That being said, the majority of that.
Rob hates children. That's really what it comes down to.
You are the worst person.
You're doing it, not me. I'll just point it out.
I don't want. Okay, I'm not doing this with you again. All right, listen. Mike Leach nailed Tinder. All right. This was before Tinder. When I separated from the young lady in Jacksonville and I moved here, I'm going to be real honest with you. When I first got here, I got on Tinder for the first time. All right. I was like, all right, let's see what dating's like in 2022. Right. And or for 2020, I was like, all right, let me see what this dating scene is like now. And I will also acknowledge that I was a bleep boy who was like, let me just date casually. I'm just going to date very casually. Multiple dates, multiple people. We'll see if any of them stick. I jumped on Tinder. I lasted about a week. I had like 3 Tinder dates, right? Within the first week I moved here. I had like 3 Tinder dates. And the majority of them were just like, hey, I'm brand new here. I'm not looking for anything. I just want somebody to show me around town. And I had like 3 women that were like, yeah, that's fine. Cool, man, we'll hang out. I'll show you around Greenville, whatever. In a week, I was like, nope, done with this. Because of what Mike Leach just said. He nailed it. He absolutely nailed it. Let me go to Mike Leach on Halloween candy now. I understand a lot of people who reserve themselves in terms of expressing opinions about things, right? So a lot of people avoid confrontation like the plague. Heck, I'm one of them. There are many times where I'm like, yeah, I'm not really going to inject an opinion on this because I don't want to start a debate. I don't feel like having one. However, there is one topic where you should have all the opinions and be completely fearless in expressing them, and that is food. All right? There are like 3 things that there are 4 things every human has to do. You got to sleep. You got to eat. You got to go to the bathroom, and you got to breathe. Like those are the 4 things you had. Those are the 4 universal traits. Everyone has to eat. So you should have food opinions. And a lot of people are going to have food opinions you consider bad. For instance, some people like their bacon crispy. That's a bad food opinion. Soft bacon is the way to go.
I'm glad you said soft the way you did.
Floppy bacon.
Soft
bacon. For instance, some people eat their steaks well done. No, that's gross. You're running the steak. Eat a hockey puck. Okay? You should have food opinions, and you should have strong food opinions, and you should very well fight about them.
So because of your cannibalistic tendencies, your desire for blood, it's better.
Cannibalistic?
Yeah, I mean, because you're just one step away from eating,
it's still
people.
A cow, whether it's what? Okay. What is happening today?
Okay, Dahmer.
Anyway, one of the places within food opinions that you should have a very strong one is, of course, candy. Lonzo, what's your go-to candy?
All of them?
Fair enough. Lady friends, mini M&Ms. You know the little mini M&Ms that come in the little tube? She's obsessed with them.
I know, but that kind of, I think you think, well, I'm not eating as many, but you're
Well, no,
eating more because they taste better for some reason.
It ain't about eating them because they're light. That's exactly why. She's like, they're better than regular M&Ms.
They actually do taste better.
I right now am on a Reese's Fast 5 kick. It is the one that is a chocolate caramel bar with Reese's Pieces on top and then all covered in chocolate. It's the best candy bar in the game right now. Okay? Mike Leach is no different. See, but if somebody comes up to me and they go, what's your favorite candy? I'm like, yo, the Reese's Fast Break Bar. Not my Leach. Mike Leach has got opinions. This is on the field after a game in a post-game interview.
We talked about on the broadcast how you hate candy corn. What's your favorite Halloween
candy
candy?
Corn. I mean, I completely hate candy corn. When I was a kid, well, gummy bears, let's see. Gummy bears for sure.
Sour or regular?
The Haribo. It's got to be the Haribo ones. And then the other thing I like is when they used to have the sprees in a box. Outstanding. You have to go to the dollar store to find it, but I do. And then the latest, you know, there's still candy innovation. Although a while back I found that Europe had better candy than we did overall, because they have gummy everything. And then, you know, they have those Nerds clusters, which is new.
The gummy.
Yeah, which is good. The Nerds clusters is good. And then if you go chocolate, probably Almond Joy.
Mike Leach has got candy takes.
Probably made a lot of people mad with the Almond Joy thing because coconut is just not, you either like it or you don't. I don't think there's an in-between on coconut.
I am not coconut. I'm anti-coconut. I do not like coconut. Unless it's like a coconut liqueur pulled into a boat drink. Then I'm in.
I have no idea what language you just spoke.
Coconut booze. You make the coconut boozy. Then I'm in.
Why is yeah, but that's all about flavor. So it would taste like coconut.
No, you got to put it in something else. I don't just like drink coconut rum. But I'll put coconut rum into like.
So a hint of coconut still tastes like coconut, though, doesn't
a
it?
tiny hint of coconut can add to the symphony of flavors that are your tropical citrusy drinks. Coconut by itself, Almond Joy. Ugh. My dad loved Christmas because every house that gave us Almond Joy or Mounds meant Pops was getting another candy bar. So he loved it. I hate it. I'm going to say this. Mike Leach got everything else right, though. If you're going to get me gummy bears, I want Haribo or I want nothing.
I want worms because if you do it right, you can make it look like worms are going across your teeth.
But Haribo or nothing. Whatever style of Haribo, whatever.
So is that a brand?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the gold bag.
Okay.
That's the gold bag.
I don't purposefully go look at, oh, you don't have to lie. So it's the 1%er of gummies.
It's that those are the best. They are cheap as hell.
I don't really eat gummies anymore, but I'll take your word for it, though.
Haribo or bust. Mike Leach was spot on. And Mike Leach also nailed it. Some of you are going to get mad about this. Europe is definitely superior in the candy selection department than America.
How is that true when we're fatter than any other country? I don't get.
Because they have better candy and are better at going, maybe I don't need to eat the entire family bag of peanut M&Ms by myself.
You know, when it tastes good. And by the way, James, or Kevin or whoever it was, I don't eat my steak well done. I was just defending those who do.
No, you shouldn't defend them. They're bad.
Yeah, I should. They're
bad people who need
hey,
therapists.
Listen, I'm for the people. You just,
I'm not for people who eat well done steak. Go somewhere else. Don't run steak. Mike Leach nailed all that. What other clips are in there? Pick another clip. Just at random, Lonzo. I'll let you pick the next one. I've titled him what he's talking about. Which one are we going to next?
Well, let's just let him talk.
Okay.
Advantages. For one thing, their fat little girlfriends are telling them what they want to hear, which is how great you are and how easy it's going to be and how, we had a whole bunch of people. Everybody wanted to win the football game, but nobody wanted to play the football game. Well, that defies every level of work ethic that exists with regard to football. And as coaches, we have to solve our failure on reaching them, and the players have to listen. And I'm willing to go to fairly amazing lengths to try to make that happen. I don't know if I'll be successful this week or not, but you know, I am going to try, and there will be some people inconvenienced. And if it happens to be their fat little girlfriends, too bad.
Fat little girlfriends. Now, in fairness, the front end of that clip got clipped. He goes, listen, our coaching wasn't coming through in a way that it was louder than the input from other people, ... like their fat little girlfriends. Now, there are going to be some people who take great offense to Mike Leach there with the fat little girlfriend's comment. All right? That's old school Mike Leach right there. That's old school coaching right there. Great way to get a dude to react to you is to call his mom ugly, his dog stupid, or his girlfriend fat. And Leach decided to go that direction. We got to a spot where our coaching did not resonate louder than the opinions of their fat little girlfriends who were telling them, you're great, you're amazing, it's going to be easy, you're going to get it done. Mike Leach lost a lot of people with that take, but he won over a lot of people with that take. You get it, right? Mike's like, listen, if you just want to hear that you're great, if you just want to hear that you're amazing, then run home to your fat little girlfriend. But if you want to work and you want to win and you want to do it the right way and you understand that it's going to be hard, then show up and let's play football. Love that cat. Give me one more if you don't mind. I know there's at least one more. Two more? Pick one of them. I don't even care which one.
The women lose their mind. Your fiance's going to lose her mind. Your mother-in-law is going to lose her mind. Your mom is going to lose her mind. Several of your sisters and female relatives are going to lose their mind, and they're going to barrage you with constant questions. What should we wear? And then, which of course my answer was, I don't care. And then, what color should the invitations be? I don't care. What should we have for dessert? I don't care. Should we seat this way or that way? I don't care. But see, I don't care is not satisfactory at all. And you're going to get caught in a catch-22, and I'm certain that you already have. And that catch-22 is, well, I want you to be a part of this too. So what color invitations? All right, the blue ones. Well, I kind of like the tan ones. Okay, the tan ones then. Oh, you're just saying that because you want this over with. You're not even thinking about it, which is of course true. What do you want for dessert? I was thinking of strawberry shortcake. Oh, okay. Yeah, strawberry shortcake would be good. Well, what about the blueberry pie? Well, I like the blueberry pie. We could have the blueberry pie. Well, I thought you said you wanted the strawberry shortcake. And it's just going to go back and forth, and they're going to play keep away from you until after you're married. There's no answer you can give that is going to be satisfactory or correct. And if you successfully please a few of them, the others will still be, oh, well, I just don't feel like he's that interested. Yeah, okay, so you need to work late, go in the back room and read a lot of books, take the groomsmen out so you make sure that they march in just right and they know exactly, these swell outfits that you picked out or whatever, however you're doing it. And in the end, you'll wish you eloped. You need to find excuses that they'll buy to be as far out of harm's way as you possibly can.
Mike, you good, buddy? Now, for the record, I used to be a wedding DJ. Okay, that was like one of many side hustles. I used to be a wedding DJ, and I also did like the announcement at the reception, right? Ladies and gentlemen, get on your feet and welcome for the first time, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson. And to do that, I would have to have these meetings with the wedding coordinators and the bride and groom and all that. And I can tell you, everything Mike Leach said right there is absolutely true. It just is, right? I am a feminist. I am all with them. I not gonna lie. When the lady friend and I start planning hours, I 100% Lonzo and the dude that's just gonna be like, I don't care. What kind of flowers do we want? I don't care. What kind of meals are we gonna serve? I don't care.
Okay. Stop right there. You do care about the meals because you care about how the meals are prepared. So if you're having steak, which you won't, obviously you're having chicken cordon bleu. But if you were having steak and
Nothing cooked over medium rare.
they cooked them, yeah.
Anybody says they want their steak well done is uninvited.
Uninvited. Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Blacklisted.
Wow.
I will have a bouncer.
Wow.
I don't care. I have like 3 requests. Should we get married? I got like 3 requests. Number 1, open bar reception. Number 2, when I walk into the reception, I want to walk in to Space Odyssey with a Ric Flair robe on. I don't feel like that's too much.
I think that would be awesome. The open bar thing might be a mistake depending on who's paying for it.
No, see, that's the thing. I don't need a big expensive venue. We could do it in my backyard. I will do it in the
Some
woods.
people do that. And I'm sure
Yeah.
it's a beautiful backyard.
That's it. Like, that's my request. I don't care. Mike is spot on. I watched one lady get in a fight with her mom over her wedding because she wanted to use this one centerpiece, and her mom was like, I really like these centerpieces. And she was like, Mom, I want this centerpiece. And she's like, right, but like, I think if you do this, it goes with the decor better. And she's like, Mom, it's my wedding. I want the centerpiece. And the mom was like, I know it's your wedding, but I want it to look good for everybody. And they got into a genuine yelling match over centerpieces. Lonzo, have you ever had a discussion about centerpieces in your life? Because this daughter and mom got into a yelling match over them.
I live in Gray Court, man. We don't have centerpieces out there. We just don't.
Yeah. The only thing on the center of my table is the salt and pepper shakers.
My centerpiece might be a stuffed opossum.
Yeah. Mike Leach was a philosopher and a genius, ladies and gentlemen. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate.
Glad your evil laughter made it on the air before I turned your microphone on.
I don't care. What was the clip we didn't get to?
There were actually 2. Oh, I miscounted. Well, right now I'd like to go to the restroom, but I'll see what I can do.
No,
here.
go.
We didn't get Morrow as captain and playoff expansion.
Okay.
Thank you for your permission to go pee.
I meant you can go pee before you tell me the answer to my
Bring up
question.
the old truck in here, or is that no? Okay, let's just stop.
By the way, the person who works here who drives the truck yesterday got that smoke. Because I went downstairs to get in my car and he was this far over the line. I had to go in through my passenger door. If I was not in a hurry, I would have come up here and been like, I need you to move your truck. And I liked that individual, but I'd be like, you need to move your truck. I don't care. Then don't drive.
That's out on that. And we're going to bring what we've got today to next week and the week after. Just keep going. Panthers enter week 15
Steak and bacon are aliens, worlds different. Animals, crispy bacon, medium steak together, great. Floppy bacon is the best bacon.
Gross.
If you eat crispy bacon, I will tolerate it, but don't only put crispy bacon on the table. That is selfish.
Make sure you also undercook your food because Rob doesn't want anything cooked all the way.
Soft bacon is perfectly cooked bacon. Medium rare steak is frankly overcooked, but I can live with that.
So the BetQL 5-star player today in the NBA is Brad the Thunder and the Twins.
Without the ones like you, who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you 24/7 with supplies and solutions for every industry and access to product specialists ready to help. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who...
Hey, it's Rob Brown. Listen, I've been around the real estate game for many years. My dad was a real estate agent when I was growing up, and he taught me a lot of rules of real estate. One of them that I have seen broken because sometimes people just do not have the best information available is when you're going to sell your home, you want to sell it for the most money possible, obviously. And in order to accomplish that, you need the expertise of an Allen Tate realtor in your corner. In today's low inventory market, homes in good condition attract multiple buyers. And with multiple buyers comes multiple offers, sometimes within days of listing.
So I asked Silver what she was eating the other day. She turned around and
seafood.
Yeah, and Lisa nearly passed out. I thought it was hilarious. Proof she's been going to school because that's the kind of things you learn at school.
Reach out to them now. You can find them online at allentate.com. Allentate.com. It's our friends at Allen Tate Realtors.
I thought learning a language would be too much work. Then I discovered Babbel. They make learning fun. J'aime Babbel.
Babbel's lessons only take 10 or 15 minutes. Quick and easy. And soon you turn and realize, hey, I'm starting to speak another language. How'd that happen? Como si fuera magia.
My friend from Italy said my accent and pronunciation is perfect. It's because Babbel's lessons are designed by language teachers and voiced by real native speakers. Each lesson is like living in another country for 15 minutes.
I love that there's all kinds of ways to learn. Babbel's podcast or games or videos. You can even join live classes with a language teacher.
You learn words and phrases you actually use in real conversations.
In 3 weeks, I was starting to...
Steven says Lionel Messi one step closer to being the GOAT. That is... Oh, yeah, dude. Messi was a monster yesterday. An absolute terror. You could see how bad he wants that trophy before he calls it. Like, you could see it in the way he was playing yesterday. Lionel Messi was GOAT status yesterday. No doubt. That game, like if I was trying to get somebody interested in soccer, that is the game I'd have them watch from the entire World Cup, perhaps. Just watch Messi. And if I was trying to teach somebody the game, that is the one I would go with. Watch Messi in this game.
Online at Odyssey.com and the Odyssey app. Search the Fan Upstate. Sponsored by Taco Bell. The rumors are true. Nacho fries are back at Taco Bell for a limited time. So if you've been craving those golden fries with their Mexican spices and that warm nacho cheese sauce you dip them in, go to Taco Bell and order some today. Contact store for participation, which varies.
Unique and unlike any other sports talk show, it's BetMGM Tonight, Monday through Friday from 7 to 11, only on the Fan
Upstate.
BetMGM Tonight is the red zone for casual and hardcore sports fans. Live sports betting updates for all of the night's games as they happen. Get the latest scores, sides, totals, props, parlays, futures, and much more with hosts Quentin Mayo, Trista Crick, and Brian Horvath. Real-time, relevant sports entertainment tonight at 7. BetMGM Tonight, exclusively on the
Upstate.
and on the Odyssey app. Listen on the Odyssey app. Search the Fan Upstate.
the Ron Brown Show rolls on. This is the Fan Upstate. Get a little Mike Leach talk in there just a minute ago. Some of the better quotes from his career. Pika Mike texted and said, play the clip about the mascots. I found that yesterday, Mike, but I couldn't find a clip where it was edited out. Mike Leach, in a presser, was asked if all the Pac-12 mascots got into a fight, who would win when he was at Washington State. And at one point, and I thought Zoe would have appreciated this part of it. At one point, he said, well, I think the first thing you'd have to do is figure out exactly what powers a Sun Devil has. He said, you'll have to get on the phone with some of those Harry Potter people and find out exactly what powers the Sun Devil has and what you could do to block some of those powers.
Yeah, those are the guys who would know, those Harry Potter people.
Yeah. He eliminated the Washington Huskies and the Stanford Tree out of the gate. He said that the Washington State Cougar had a real good chance because, you know, they're super stealthy and they could stay hidden and wait for opportunities to present themselves. He said the Utah Utes are the wild card, right? He said, is the Ute on horseback? Does it have a bow and arrow? Could it have traded for a rifle? Because a Ute with a bow and arrow is deadly. A Ute with a rifle, even more so. He said, what about a Trojan, right? So what about a Trojan? Is the Trojan mounted or on foot? Does the Trojan get a sword? Does it get a shield? Is it just the one Trojan? All of which I think are valid questions that have to be answered. And then he mentioned that there are two different bears, right? The Bruins and the Golden Bears. He's like, a bear is going to win most fights against most animals. Would the Ute and the Spartan, or excuse me, would the Ute and the Trojan team up with each other, right? It's like a bear versus one guy. The bear's going to win. Would they team up with each other? It's great. Mike Leach was great. Trey said Mike Leach deserved to have his own television series. There's an old 60 Minutes interview with Mike Leach that I very much advise you to go read or watch, I should say. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got some more stuff to get into. We've been talking about this USC thing for a little bit. Jaheim Bell leaves. He's in Tallahassee. Marshawn Lloyd has left. The rumor right now is that he could end up being a Maryland Terrapin. That's not confirmed. He has not disclosed that yet, but that seems to be the direction that he's pointed in according to the dirt sheets. While that happened, while Marshawn was hitting the portal, South Carolina has lost not one, but two major commitments. Maryland offensive tackle, Oluwatosin Babalati, I believe, and I could be butchering that name, and if I am, I apologize. They call him Tree. And JUCO lineman Isaiah Jota both announced their decommitments from USC via Twitter within minutes of each other each afternoon. Babalati wrote, quote, I've decided to decommit from South Carolina. I just need more time to think about things. Jota in his post said, first and foremost, I would like to thank the University of South Carolina for giving me an opportunity to chase my football and educational dreams. I would like to thank Coach Teasley for always believing in me in the recruiting process. Babalati Tree is rated a 4-star prospect, the number 254 in the 2023 class per 24/7, who previously chose USC over offers from Ohio State, North Carolina, Rutgers, and Maryland. Jota's decommitment, a little bit less of a surprise. He had recent interest from Auburn and visited the Plains over the weekend, according to On3.com. He is a California kid and had been committed to South Carolina since back in June, but was also considered a loose commitment. So I guess the question is for Carolina fans, have you grown apprehensive, or are you rolling with, hey, anytime there's a coaching switch, you're going to have some kids that aren't interested anymore? it's not necessarily a volatile situation in Columbia, right? It's not like the franchise, the program is on fire or anything. But you have now lost two of your most important offensive line commits. You have lost the guy that would have been RB1 for you next year. You have lost a tight end that I won't say all, but a lot of us think has the potential to be an absolute freak if he is utilized the correct way. We'll see if Florida State proves that or not. I think they will. Have you grown apprehensive? Dow Loggins comes in, a guy that everywhere he's been in OC, he has failed miserably. At one point was voted by players and coaches as the worst offensive coordinator in the National Football League. But on the other side of that conversation, everywhere he's been in the NFL was with a trash franchise under a bad head coach. Been in college ball 3 years, but as a position coach. Been involved with the offense, but coached the tight ends. Is that a solid cause, justification to be apprehensive about where you currently are? You know, for every argument that we have heard one direction or the other, there's a counter argument. Dow Loggins doesn't have any offensive coordinator experience as a college football coach. You know who else didn't have any of that? Shane Beamer. You know who else didn't have any of that? Dabo Swinney. Both of those guys have done all right. Dabo's got a couple of rings to his credit. Shane Beamer seems to be ahead of schedule at South Carolina in terms of developing the program. I think over the past 2 years has very much won over the fan base as a whole and has earned a lot of benefit of the doubt. And I've seen a lot of y'all say that. As far as I'm concerned, Shane gets the benefit of the doubt. As far as I'm concerned, I will trust Shane until Shane gives me a reason not to trust him. The only point that I would make with all of this is this. The hire of Dow Loggins is going to be one of two things. It is either going to be the hire that shuts everybody up, me included, or it is going to be the reason to doubt Shane Beamer for the first time. There have been some decisions made under the Beamer regime that I've questioned. After the L's to Mizzou and Florida, I absolutely questioned the direction of the offense of this program. So Shane Beamer changed stuff up. They came out against Tennessee and Clemson. They got the 2 wins. Marcus Satterfield seemed to be less involved with the offensive scheming, and then ended up not working there anymore. That, to me, was Shane Beamer resolving a situation, right? And just because he had to do a little tap dance to do it in a way that nobody had to be publicly embarrassed, fine. So be it. That worked out great. But this is Shane's hire. This is Shane's name. This is Shane's reputation on the line. And if Dow Loggins shows up, and by the way, before I go down that next sentence, let me once again swerve to the left. Dow Loggins is not the reason that Marshawn Lloyd left. Okay? It's not the reason Jaheim Bell left. Marcus Satterfield and Shane Beamer are the reason that Jaheim Bell left and the reason that Marshawn Lloyd left. Dow Loggins is not the reason you lost 2 offensive line recruits. You lost RB1 for next year. He's not the reason. Is he part of the reason? Maybe. Because we've kind of, that name's been floating around for about a week and a half now before he officially got signed earlier this week. Is he part of the reason? Maybe. But as we have pointed out, at any point last year, Shane Beamer could have stepped in and said, hey, We got Jaheim Bell. We should be doing this to take advantage of his skill set more. We got Marshawn. We should be doing this to take advantage of his skill set more. And the understanding I have is that those two players, when he didn't do that, that's part of the reason I'm out. It's speculation. I could be wrong, but I doubt it. Now you got recruits bailing.
I seem to recall Marshawn Lloyd knocking on the door and saying, hey, we need to run the ball more, and they did the next week.
Yeah. But again, would you look at that and go, do I have to go to coach's office every Thursday and beg to prove again that I can do it? Or should I have a coach that looks at the position players we have and goes, here's the best way to be successful, and just does that? And again, every person's different, right? Every person's different. Everybody's going to have a different line in the sand that they're not willing to cross. So we'll see. Texas said every team, and I mean every team, loses players and recruits when there was a coaching change, and we will pick up new recruits and portal players too. Sure. But you lost one of the top prospects at offensive line. You lost one of the top JUCO offensive linemen. You lost RB1. That's not like, oh, well, it is what it is. Like, that's a big deal. That's a big deal. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll wrap up hour number 2. Starting hour number 3, I'm going to get to that Berhalter G Arena story because it's gotten a lot more drama-ish this week. You know, the word dramatic was just right there and I couldn't find it. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
What's the world's shortest NBA power rankings after we get a CBS Sports Radio update from Randy Bell? Two-game slump. Jason Tatum scored 44, 25, plus 15 boards from Jalen. Owner and the Donovan.
Download the Odyssey app and search the Fan Upstate and listen anywhere on your phone. I'm Chuck Sanders. That's the Sports Fan.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. Other companies might deliver a lot of hay. ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job in ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
The Upstate Holiday Light Show is going on now at Greenville Pickens Speedway. Drive through a nighttime Christmas wonderland as 32 million colors set the sky ablaze, synchronized to the music of your favorite holiday classics. UpstateLights.com.
Dancing through, surfing too, nailed the final interview. Game dub. Brand new money. The more you want to do, the more you want to do. We can do that designed for recent Omicron variants. About eligibility, especially the free updated today at vaccines.gov. Sponsored by.
So what do you think about this white truck over here? Or the other truck, for that matter?
Every pro is an MVP to us. That's why MVP's Pro Rewards members.
Both of them suck. Just as humans. Like, I know you got a big truck, my guy. Pull up 2. 2 feet, that guy's fine. He's at least in the lines.
I don't even know if that fits in the spot.
I was gonna say he actually might. He's good on the other side. I can see the bottom of the front right tire. He's in the line. Denali guys. Like you know you're on the line. You know you are. Okay. I'll tell her too.
Okay.
I avoid confrontation. I will tell somebody when their parking job sucks. I'll tell my mom when her parking job sucks.
All right. I love you guys, but you guys are starting to get on my nerves about mentioning things that are in Twitter because now I have to cross them off.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
I haven't talked about
it. Yeah, I do. Because that
you can't
but that says everything that what it is.
Talk about it. Don't cross that off. I want to talk.
No, we'll talk about it tomorrow. We're just going to have to cancel the segment. It's all your guys' fault.
Wrapping up hour number 2. This I wanted to get in real quick just because it kind of fascinated me a little bit. You guys know I love a spot when somebody takes advantage of science to be better at sport, right? The Las Vegas Raiders have had kind of an interesting thing playing out people have been talking about lately. And that is, Lonzo, that on kickoffs, even in dome stadiums, when there's no win, the Raiders have been using a placeholder on kickoffs, right? They've had a guy holding the ball, and you know, ordinarily you see a holder when the wind blows the ball off the tee, right? Kicker puts it down, ball falls off. Kicker puts it down, ball falls off. Second time it falls off, they'll bring up a holder. He'll put the finger on top of the ball to hold it so the kicker kicks it. Well, the Raiders have been doing that even when there's no wind.
Yeah, but doesn't that eliminates a player's ability to get downfield?
It does, but there's for a reason. The Raiders actually did a little experiment to test that hypothesis.
All right, let me guess because I don't know. That guy hangs back, so the kicker is not your final guy if someone gets through?
Very good guess, but no.
Okay.
Here's why they're doing it. If you ever looked at a tee, like a kickoff tee, which is not, we all think about the old orange kickoff tee we used back in high school. The NFL kickoff tees are usually black. They're about that big, and they're shaped like a bowl, right? With a slant on one side, and the ball sits down in the tee. So the actual nose of the football is down inside of a tee. If you're not on the stream, I'm actually illustrating right now because I'm a good science professor. It sits down in the tee. So the nose of the football is inside the tee. Well, the Raiders had a theory and they tested it. And it turns out that at least for their kicker, instead of putting the ball on the tee, Lonzo, they actually set the tip of the ball on top of the rim of the tee. So like if you're thinking about it like a bowl, on the ledge where you would scrape your fork off, they sit the ball on top of that little plastic lip, that little rim of the bowl, and then they have a kicker hold the ball. And the reason that they're doing that is that they said that they have actually been getting more hang time on a kickoff when they have done that, right? Josh McDaniels said on Monday that the Raiders placed the ball on the top of the tee rather inside it, which puts the ball slightly higher off the ground and gives their kicker, Daniel Carlson, the ability to hit closer to the bottom of the ball with a foot, right? When it's on the tee, you're going to be hitting around where the stripe is. With it up on top of the tee, you can actually hit underneath the stripe. McDaniels said the Raiders asked the NFL, and the NFL said that the holder would be allowed to hold the ball on the top of the tee, on the rim of the tee, instead of inside of it. Said they clarified the rule a couple of years ago that you're permitted to hold the ball on top of the tee. We've got a good kicker. You can add hang time to the kick, and I think you saw Daniel use that to our advantage. As long as you don't kick it into the end zone, extra hang time, put it at the goal line. We're further down there. It gives the coverage team a better opportunity to make tackles inside the 25-yard line. The Raiders figured out with their kicker that if they put the ball on the rim of the tee and have a holder hold the ball, the kicker can get much more elevation, increases the hang time, and gives the coverage team more time to establish their lanes, get down the field, and lessen touchbacks that come out to the 25 to pin them inside the 20. So they're picking up 6-7 yards of field advantage just by moving the ball back and putting a finger on it.
I wonder when a winning team will actually adopt that.
If the Raiders employ that in games and they can show that there is a numerical and empirical difference in it, every team will be doing it by next week. I'm excited. I love a little science in my sports. Nerd! Back after this on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate.
Spreadsheets for my accounting. Today, my fifth successful business, Patriot Software, makes accounting simple for accountants and non-accountants alike, eliminating the need for many of us business geeks to crunch spreadsheets or wear formal business attire ever again.
Oh, that's right. Was it?
Promo code radio and get 2 months of accounting software free. It's patriotsoftware.com. Accounting and payroll, keep your time and money.
Are boomers more cringy than millennials?
What's funny is Rob talked over the part where they talked about his generation. So he didn't hear what
I don't care about it. It's a hilarious.
He didn't hear what they said
hilarious
about his
opening
generation.
line.
By the way, I just want to point out, I'm not a boomer. I'm Gen
What
X.
are you?
Gen X.
Gen X? It's X, Boomer, Millennial, Z, right?
No, it's Boomer X. Boomer is older than X, dude. Come on. That's the whole point.
Oh, you're right. Boomers 46 to 64, X 65 to 79, Millennials 80 to 94, Z 95 to 2012, Gen Alpha 13 through 25. All right. I mean, really? Alpha?
Would you rather it be Omega? That would be a little more foreboding.
It's a dope name, though.
Yeah, but it's like, hey, we're the final generation. Yay. Who comes up with it with that stuff anyway? Is he saying fish hippie?
Fish hippie?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's I gotta look that up. What is fish hippie? I bet it's a place that you'd want to shop at. It's a men's clothing place. Huh. If you spend $75 or more, you get a free True Blue tee. Look at that. Yeah, look it up. This is your kind of place.
Fish hippie?
Yeah, it's 2 words. Got drifter hoodies. They got flannel and
All right, I'm checking the
hoodies.
flannel. How much is the flannel going to cost?
I don't want to look.
$110 for a flannel shirt. Can you put hippie in your name if you're selling a flannel shirt for $110? I feel like fish yuppie is a more
Yeah,
appropriate name.
that probably will work a little bit better.
Fish boomer.
Yeah. think the generation thing is kind of like, what's your sign, sort of. I mean, do people really care about that much? So if you say "okay, boomer" to me, you're not being accurate. I mean, and I hate inaccuracies.
I think there's there are some, like, it's the old phrase, like, stereotypes are stereotypes for a reason to some degree.
Well, there's a little bit of truth in almost
Right.
all of them. Yeah.
There's some generational traits that are more obvious in one generation than the next.
Because you are how you grew up and
Right,
the people
exactly,
around you more than
exactly.
likely. Yeah.
And so if someone falls into one of those traits, it's easy to be like, okay, boomer, because that's a very boomer trait that you're displaying that most other generations don't have.
The question is, how many people who say that actually know someone who's a boomer?
Oh, you got to think, people my age, our parents are.
Are they?
No, I guess my mom's
No.
really more Gen Z now. The third, the final, the best, the money hour of the Rob Brown Show starts right now. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I am Rob. He is Zoe. And we are glad to have you along for the ride, on the road, on this metaphorical road, this road we call life.
Welcome to our road.
I avoid confrontation like the plague. Lonzo called me over to the window a couple of breaks ago and was like, how do you feel about these two trucks that are parked out here? One of them is a massively oversized pickup truck. Now, if you want to have a big pickup truck, I don't care. I don't.
I do if you don't know how to drive it. And I also wonder what's the purpose. I mean, mean, if you're hauling around gravel or something, cool. I mean, because you got to have something to haul that around. But if you just haul around you and your buddies, why do you need a truck that big?
Listen, there are a lot of
Of course, you can say,
things.
why do I need a car as fast as I have? Because I have to outrun those big trucks so I don't get run over.
So there are a lot of things that people own that I'm like, there's no need to own that, right? You don't need that. There's no justifiable reason. We do things in America just because, period, end of sentence, just because, right? If you want to have a big-ass truck, it's your life. Have at it. I don't really care. But as Lonzo said, as long as you know how to operate it and as long as you stay within rules, both societal and legal, right? If you have a big truck that does not fit in a parking spot, don't park it where the normal cars and trucks park, right? Part of the consequence of, hey, I got this big cool truck is, yeah, but you got to park way out there where nobody else parks because you're going to eat up a pair of parking spots. Your desire to own a big old truck just because, don't park. There's a big old white truck that is parked in 2 parking spots, and if that individual doesn't take the time to make sure he's between the lines, could eat up 4 parking spots accidentally. Then right next to that individual is parked an SUV who is a solid 9 inches over the line and into another spot.
And a backer.
Yeah.
Because to get into where they are, they have to be a backer.
I don't care if you back into spots. I back into spots.
I
all
do.
the time.
I do. Backers are, there's something wrong with you because you're going to have to back one way or the other.
Right. But
if it takes you 10 minutes to park because you think you have to back, that's something with your brain.
It doesn't take me 10 minutes to park.
I wasn't talking about you specifically. This whole thing, I get it's your show and your name's on it, but I wasn't talking about you.
I don't care if you back on a spot. Just back into the spot.
Well, that would help
Okay?
too. Yeah.
Now, that being said,
Make sure you park really close to my door so I can't get out.
Lonzo said, how do you feel about the person? I was like, that person sucks too. Look, they're over the line. Lonzo's like, and tells me who it is downstairs, a person of some importance in this building, whose car it is.
You need to stop.
That's fine. I will tell that individual to their face, they need to work on their parking skills. They just need to work on their parking skills. They're just bad. And you and I both know this parking lot. You know, at 9 a.m. when we're here, this parking lot's relatively empty. But come around lunchtime, There's a restaurant in this building next to us. There's 2 very popular businesses. There's a restaurant. There's actually like 3 restaurants right across the street, and this is kind of overflow parking for them as well. These parking lots are filled up at lunchtime, and that person is now sitting on 2 parking spots. You could walk up and slap me in the face, and 90% of the time, I'm just going to walk away from you. That's the one time I'm going to be like, hey, your parking job's terrible. You should fix it. I don't know why it is that bad parking is my irrational trigger. Like that's where I get the reckless abandon.
There's some fire in his eyes when he sees it, which might be why I pointed out.
I'll say Lonzo calls me to the window just so that I have to see it.
I will even send him pictures when he's not here.
Yep. Somebody that I very much like in this building yesterday parked over the line in a way that I had to get in through my passenger door to get into my car, right? I had to get into that. And my fat, old, out of shape behind probably looked like a hippopotamus trying to work its way through a porthole, getting from the passenger side door into the driver's seat. Had I not been in a hurry, I would have come upstairs to the person that I like and be like, hey, I need you to go move your car. Like right now.
The hippopotamus through a porthole. Is that something you just made up? Because I've never heard that before.
Yeah, it feels appropriate though.
Well, I just want to make sure because you have sayings sometimes I've never heard of before.
I had to go fat animal. And then I'm like, what kind of passageway? Because like a hippo through a regular door would be awkward, but like it shouldn't be impossible. Porthole, obviously.
I want to praise you on your creativity because now I picture that in my mind and it's difficult.
Texas said James said the second I call someone out for their bad parking is the second I offend them and get shot. Are people really getting strapped over parking spots right now?
Man, people getting shot over a lot of stuff.
Fair enough. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get to the third final, the best hour of the show. Let me talk very briefly about this. Let me talk very briefly about this Gio Reyna, Greg Berhalter thing. All right. The U.S., it turned out, maybe had a reason for Gio Reyna. And if you were listening to this broadcast, you heard me multiple times during the first week and a half of that tournament begging Greg Berhalter to play Gio Reyna. I think Gio Reyna has the unique talent, the unique creativity necessary to provide the U.S. what it's been lacking, which is somebody who can finish with flourish, with creativity, and can put the ball into the net. We got a lot of guys who are very good in the setup. Weah, Adams, Pulisic, a lot of guys that are very good in the setup. It is really only Pulisic that has any threatening finishing ability. But there's really nobody that can work individually and creatively with the football outside of the box to draw defenses out of position and give other guys the opportunity to find themselves in a position to get a send in and finish it. Gio Reyna's got that talent, but we didn't see him. And now we might know why. Greg Berhalter was at a leadership summit last week that he thought was off the record. Right? He thought it was a closed door session, and the things he talked about would end up not being talked about publicly. And he told that leadership summit that he was very close to sending a player home from the 2022 World Cup in Qatar because the player was quote, clearly not meeting expectations on and off the field, end quote. MLSsoccer.com's Tom Bogert reported that player was Gio Reyna. Berhalter said that, quote, as a staff, we sat together for hours deliberating what we were going to do with this player. We were ready to book a plane ticket home. That's how extreme it was. Berhalter went on to say that both he and the team's leadership group, a half dozen players, including Captain Tyler Adams, were prepared to send the player home, but instead they decided to have one more meeting with him, in which they told him, your attitude sucks. Your work ethic sucks. You are not taking training seriously. And even if you feel like, well, why do I need to practice hard? I'm not getting minutes. You need to practice hard to help the guys around you feel like they are playing world-class elite talent and preparing for that. According to Berhalter's story, the lack of intensity that Reyna showed during a scrimmage against a local club prompted questions within the team about whether he was guarding against an injury. The Athletic reported that. The following Monday, Reyna was not involved in the U.S. men's national team's opener against Wales. There were a bunch of questions amongst fans and media. Berhalter said in the post-game press conference that Reyna, quote, had a little bit of tightness that we were guarding against, end quote. Reyna, after hearing that, immediately fired back and said that he, quote, definitely felt 100%, end quote, regarding that match. Berhalter would then back off of that 3 days later and say it was a, quote, coach's decision, end quote, not to play him. Reyna got all hurt about it and continued to show insufficient effort in training, at which point, according to multiple sources, both players and coaches confronted him about it. Berhalter said when it came down to it, we were going to have one more conversation with him, and part of the conversation was how we're going to behave from here on out. There aren't going to be any more infractions, but the other thing we said to him was, you're going to have to apologize to the group, and it's going to have to say why you're apologizing. It's going to have to go deeper than just, guys, I'm sorry, and I prepped the leadership group with this, and I said, okay, this guy's going to apologize to you as a group to the whole team, and what was fantastic is that the whole thing is that after he apologized, they stood up one by one and said, listen, it hasn't been good enough. You haven't been meeting our expectations of a teammate, and we want to see change. They really took ownership of that process, end quote. Reyna played about 8 minutes against England, then 0 against Iran. He did play the second half against the Netherlands, but at that point, it felt like it was too little, too late. So, since then, since that story broke, Gio Reyna responded. He hit back on social media. He put up a post that said, quote, I fully acknowledge that I let my emotions get the best of me and affect my training and behavior for a few days, but I am disappointed that there is continuing coverage of this matter and extremely surprised that anyone on the U.S. men's staff would contribute to it, end quote. And he went on to say that Greg Berhalter has always stated that issues within the team would remain in-house. He said, quote, I hope not to comment on matters at the World Cup. It is my belief that things that happen in a team setting ought to remain private. So, we have a very interesting philosophical split here, and unfortunately, it's one that very clearly caused some level of divide on the team in Qatar. Berhalter, according to multiple sources, did indeed tell the team that if there were in-house issues, they'd be kept in-house. Then Greg Berhalter got assaulted by U.S. fans and media going, why is the most creative offensive player on your team riding the pine? Why is he not playing? A 3-point performance against Wales or England would have created a situation where there wasn't so much intensity in the game against Iran in a win-or-go-home scenario, right? So why did it play out that way? And Berhalter, and I'm curious as a manager, Lonzo, what direction you would go in. Berhalter had two options here. Option number one was to not tell the story and just repeatedly tell the media and fans, coach's decision. Respect that. That would have kept the word that he gave to the team, which is in-house issues stay in-house, right? If something happens in the team, it stays with the team. It doesn't get out. Option number two is what Greg Berhalter chose, which is to violate what he told the team, that in-house issues stay in-house, but to clear his name with the media and fans, right? Because if we're screaming, where's Gio, where's Gio? And there's a good reason Gio's not out there. Greg told him going into the tournament, hey, you've been injured. You haven't been playing domestically. You're going to have a limited role in this World Cup. You're going to get PT, but it's going to be in limited spot situations when we need you. Gio Reyna got his feelings hurt. He wanted to be a primetime player in this World Cup. So he showed up and he loved, right? He just took a free vacation. He loved. So Berhalter had option one, which is to just repeatedly say it's a coaching decision and not tell us, and have guys like Rob Brown get on the mic and go, what a dumb decision to have the best and most creative offensive player ride the pine the whole tournament, or he could break the code that he had with the team where in-house issues stay in-house, and he could tell the public, so where people like I go, okay, I understand now. I don't like it, but I understand, but may have violated the trust with the guys in the locker room who up till this point believed in-house issues stay in-house. Lonzo, do you think Greg Berhalter made a good or bad decision here?
I am curious who decides on him being the coach. How's that come about? Who's over that?
The U.S. Soccer Federation, USSF, is in charge of the men's national team's administration,
Which is
including
it's
management.
not a fan thing. These are
These are execs. They are from
Okay.
different walks
All
of
right.
life.
All right.
And now, here's where there is a little controversy thrown in that. When Greg Berhalter was hired as the head coach of the U.S. men's national team, the decision was made by his brother, who was in charge of USSF at the time. So there have been screams of nepotism about Greg Berhalter getting this job from the beginning because his brother ultimately hired him to take that role. Now, pros and cons, Greg Berhalter outside of the World Cup has been very, very good. We've won a couple of Gold Cups. We're like 4-1 against Mexico in the last 5, which is a stellar record. We have won CONCACAF. These are all expectations, but he's delivered on them. And no manager since like 1930 has taken the U.S. men's national team past the quarterfinals. But he got to the quarterfinals, the round of 16, right? No other manager since like the 30s has gotten out of the group of 16, but group of 16 is kind of the expectation now. Even in a group of death, we expect to make it out of the group stage and into knockout play in the round of 16. So Berhalter, Zoe, has met every expectation in this transition period in soccer where we really are leaning on a new generation of players, the Reynas and the Pulisics and the Weston McKennies of the world, the young guys. He has taken these young guys, put them into a system, not a great one, and he has met every expectation, but he has not surpassed any expectations yet. He hasn't really raised any expectations. So it's kind of interesting in that, like, you can kind of see why he's the manager, but you could also say that's nepotism, and it would be a fair argument as well. My question is, in this situation, face or heel on Greg Berhalter for breaking his word to the team that in-house issues stay in-house, but doing it because there's a very, very loud and valid complaint. The best player wasn't playing, and we were all holding it personally directly against him.
I think he's being a heel. You told everyone, you told your players that you were not going to you're going to handle this in-house, and then you went and did it publicly. I mean, what purpose does it serve other than saving face for himself? And obviously he has bosses, and if he talked to those bosses and say, hey, this is what's going on, and they're cool with it, then why do you need to come out and tell everybody about it? Because now you've embarrassed the player also, unless the player himself decided to come out and say, hey, man, this is on me. I acted in a way I shouldn't have acted. It hurt the team. It hurt the reputation and all that kind of stuff. But the player didn't do that, right? This is the coach that didn't throw him under the bus. Just come out and told the truth. But I think if you tell everybody in confidence, hey, we're just going to handle this ourselves, and you go the other way, you just can't do that.
Yeah, listen, it's a crap situation for Berhalter. And those of you who listen to the show know I'm not a Berhalter guy. I got no sympathy. I'm not a fan. Okay? But it's a tough situation for him because he did tell the team, hey, look, here's the deal. In-house situations stay in-house, right? If we got a problem in this locker room, that problem stays in this locker room. We don't need outside attention or impact. On the flip side, that to me kind of implicitly comes with a wink, wink, nudge, nudge with the team that means you guys have to do everything you can to limit problems in this locker room, right? Like, I won't tell nobody the problems in the locker room as long as you guys are doing everything you can to make sure they're all done. If you show up, you work hard, you practice. If we got a communication issue, if there's a fist fight in practice, that doesn't need to get out, right? We'll handle it like grown-ass men. We'll handle it. It's fine. But when a player shows up, is upset, and by the way, justifiably, but upset because he doesn't feel like he's getting featured, like he's not getting his PT. And so he half-asses it through practice, and he's not putting his effort into scrimmages, which make the team better. And he is being kind of sensitive and not communicating
See,
with the team.
I have a problem with that. If he's expected to do all that, why is he not playing? If he told him in the beginning, hey, you've been hurt, we're not going to give you very much playing time. Well, then if you're so hurt that you can't get a lot of playing time, then why would you be expected to practice hard? It just doesn't. It doesn't make sense.
I think in that role, and again, Lonzo, I once coached a U13 soccer team, so it's almost the same as the U.S. men's national team. I feel
it is to me.
This,
so
right? Yeah. When you practice, specifically when you are practicing in a team environment, like high school basketball, I didn't play. I sucked my senior year, right? Like I sucked. I wasn't any good. I was the garbage time player, man. I was a dude that you threw in there because you were down 1 and you had 5 fouls to give and you needed to stop the clock. Hey, Rob, go in there and just physically assault whoever has the ball.
Rob the goon.
Yeah, that's what I was. I was a goon. I was an enforcer. At practice, they would very frequently line me up against the starting 5, right? Who were good. Now, if I went out there and went, hey, I'm not really going to play a lot in the game and all I do is foul, why am I going to practice hard? It meant that the level of competition for the guy who does start and does play is going to go down, which means he's not practicing against the best available, which means that his level of talent or preparation is probably going to come down too, right? Even if you're not going to play, I expect you to practice like you will. Because, number 1, it makes the guy you're practicing against better. And number 2, because, hey, what happens if in a game McKinney and Weah and Pulisic all happen to go down? Now, even though we didn't plan on playing you, we kind of have to. I need you to be ready.
See, but I get all that. But if he went to him ahead of time and said, hey, you've been hurt, we're not giving you a lot of playing time, we don't want you to get hurt further, why would you expect him to work harder in practice? That's the part that doesn't make sense to me.
I get it, but also I don't. Like, I get it, but I also don't. I expect you to work hard in practice because that's what practice is. That's just what it is. And if you're not going to show up,
if you expect me to come out and bust it in practice, then I must be okay to play.
Right. I get so your leaning here is on the, if you believe I'm healthy enough to go out there and bust my ass at practice, then I should be healthy enough to go out there and bust it in the game too.
It's very much a mixed message by the coach.
I get it. And I don't have a problem with that. I get it. So I don't have a ton of sympathy for Greg Berhalter because I'm not a fan. But I do kind of get the position he's in here, right? Because this isn't just Reyna didn't practice hard. This is Reyna didn't practice. He was just weeping. He was just moping around and not really contributing to the team at all, right? So Berhalter kind of finds himself in a crap situation in that he told the team everything will stay in-house here. Then he went out of house, but he had to go out of house because here's the reality. Greg Berhalter's going to get another World Cup cycle. All right, I'm going to tell you all, Greg Berhalter will be managing the 2026 World Cup, which is here in the States.
You know, I didn't care one way or another, but all this is making me not like this guy because of all the mixed messages.
I get it.
I would not want to play for that dude.
A lot of people don't. And I will say this, that while I have sympathy for Greg Berhalter in this situation, because I really think it was an unwinnable situation. Either he kept the trust and confidence of the team that in-house stays in-house, and he had to be assaulted by the media and the fans going, you took the best American creator we have and left him on the pine the whole World Cup when we genuinely could have moved on, right? We beat England or Wales. We probably win the group, and we play Senegal in round 1, and we go to the group of 8 and probably get a friendly matchup in round 2, right? But by not doing that, we lost out in 16 against the Netherlands, a team that we probably could have beat on our best day. On the flip side, you'd have kept the confidence of the team. The other option here would have been to do what you did, to come out and go, look, I know you guys are mad at me for not playing Gio. I know a lot of you believe that Gio should have got more time, but here's the reality. Gio couldn't get more time because he was moping and he wasn't practicing hard and he wasn't being intense and he was being a whiny baby. right? That's why I didn't play Gio, which is an understandable reason not to play Gio. But now the team goes, wait a minute, we can't trust coach anymore. And if your team doesn't trust each other and trust you, your team ain't going to accomplish a damn thing, like at all. But here's the reality. All of that circles back around to having a coach that made some decisions that led to an unwinnable situation. While this particular, under a microscope, this particular situation sucks for Greg Berhalter. The situation was created from a macro perspective by all the decisions he made that led up to that. By the way he talked to Reyna and set up the situation, etc., it created the situation where Reyna moped, didn't practice hard, therefore didn't play, and put Berhalter into an unwinnable situation. These are the type of things that top-tier international managers don't do. It's not that tough. We'll get away from that, get back to some football coming up next on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
Warehouse.
All right, guys, got a live read. Stay right there. Such a hater, Kevin. Such a hater.
Was that really low, or was that?
It was.
No way he's putting those in himself. These are these.
Ooh.
No, I'm trying. I don't think it's going to work. I wanted to give it a shot. Horseshoes looks like.
We have one transparent management fee structured so we do better when our clients do better. Wow. Look out for your clients. FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments, clearly different money management.
Vacations, really everything seems to have increased in cost these days. At My Affordable Prices, we believe that everyone should be able to afford confidence and a beautiful smile without breaking the bank. My Affordable Prices has been offering braces starting at $39.95 for years. New technology meets your limits. Save even more with insurance plans like MetLife and Delta Dental. Schedule your free consultation, exam, and x-rays today at a clinic near you. Greenville, Spartanburg, and Anderson. MyAffordableBraces.com.
Sponsored by Taco Bell. The rumors are true. Nacho fries are back at Taco Bell for a limited time. So if you've been craving those golden fries with the Mexican spices and that warm nacho cheese sauce you dip them in, go to Taco Bell and order some today. Contact stores for participation in varies.
Coming up on a hump day episode of Offsides with Mark Ryan and Diesel, my friends, we have updated upset pick standings. It is time to make your upset pick for the games from December 16th to December 23rd. We also are going to be joined by Josh Hayes, the best college football analyst in the country.
Number one for real afternoon sports talk.
Offsides with Mark Ryan.
3 to 7 on the
Upstate.
Always streaming wherever you are on the Odyssey app.
The Views from Mid Street podcast available where major podcasts are found. If you're a fan of the Carolina Panthers, you need to pick it up. Hosted by the great Lonzo Reitzel, and also I'm there too. It's available where major podcasts are found on Google Play, on Apple iTunes, on Stitcher, on Spotify, or for free on the Odyssey app. Just go to any of those apps, search for Views from Mint Street, click subscribe, click the little bell so you get notified, and make sure you download every episode of the Views from Mint Street podcast. We will record another episode today, our midweek episode. That is the episode in which we just kind of give you a look at everything going on in Charlotte betwixt the games, the win over Seattle this past weekend, and a big one against Pittsburgh coming up this weekend. I said if Carolina was in fact going to give themselves an opportunity to win the division and make the playoffs, whether they should or shouldn't is subjective, they would have to beat Seattle. Sure as hell they did. Went up to Lumen Field and knocked off the Thunder Chickens on the road in Seattle. So my question is this, and we'll deep dive this a little bit more in Views from Mint Street, but I don't want to cut all the Panther talk off here on the radio broadcast. Lonzo, I think that job earns Steve Wilkes the head coaching position. I think you can go ahead and start working under the assumption that Steve Wilkes will be the HC next year. And at this point, I'm good with it.
All right. Steve Wilkes hasn't won as many games as Matt Rule did last year yet. So, I mean, you want to win. He's got to win 2 more games. He absolutely has. He's won 4 games this year. Matt Rule won 5 last year. You got to win more games than the guy you replaced. Do they seem to be on an upward trend? Yeah, but let's look at who they're playing. The people they're playing are not very good. Last week was a domination on the ground. Absolutely. Let's see if they can do that against a good defense, which the Detroit might be the best defense they play the rest of the way until the playoffs. If they win out, they'll be in the playoffs more than likely. So I can't do that. I can't just go, yeah, this guy, I mean, because he hasn't really done anything. Everyone's acting like he's done. What has he done? He hasn't done anything yet.
Here's what he's done. First off, you're right. He has won one fewer game than Matt Rule has ever won in a full season, and he didn't take over as the head coach until week 6.
How many games did he win in Arizona, by the way? Do we remember?
The Arizona situation, if you look at it only on its surface, was unsuccessful. But you can't only look at it on the surface.
Well, you can. It doesn't mean you should.
Okay? You shouldn't only look at it on the surface. Steve Wilks was set up for failure in Arizona. I fully believe that. I have had conversations with Arizona fans. We did when we played Arizona back in week 4. We did our podcast where we actually did a segment with the host of the Arizona Odyssey podcast.
Where my guy said Kyler Murray is over 6 foot tall. Yeah, I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that.
So we had that conversation with that guy. And I asked about him off the recording, right? Because at that point, we were relatively sure that if Rule got fired this year, Wilks would take over as the HC. It hadn't happened yet. And he said, look, I'm a Birds guy. I ride or die with Arizona. But, yeah, he kind of got screwed. He kind of got handed a beyond a mess, got 1 year to fix it, and never really got a chance because they never had any modicum of desire to actually leave him on board as the head coach. So you're right. Wilks has not won as many games as Matt Rule has won in a full season, but he took over in week 6. So he got an 11-week season, and in 11 weeks, he is 1 win away from matching Matt Rule's best season-long win total, and he's got Pittsburgh, Detroit, Tampa, and New Orleans left to do it. He's going to beat in a 80% length of a regular season, Matt Rule's best overall record in a single year as the head coach. And
by the way, I hope so. I hope.
I'm telling you,
I hope
that's
so.
a fact.
Okay, well, we'll see.
1 more matches Matt Rule's best season high win total. 2 more beats it. And keep in mind, Steve Wilks is doing that with Matt Rule's roster. This is not a roster that Steve Wilks and Scott Fitterer built to put together the way that Steve Wilks wants the roster to look to run his system. This is the roster that Matt Rule built, a roster that Matt Rule built alongside Ben McAdoo, not whoever Wilks will have as his OC, because I imagine it won't be Ben McAdoo, right? He is going to win more games than Matt Rule ever did in a full season. With Matt Rule coaching the first 5, right? This is not including the win over New Orleans in week 3. This is just straight up since he's been the interim HC. And in that list, he knocked off divisional rivals Atlanta. They smoked Denver, a bad team, sure, but he went to Seattle and broke the road loss streak. Steve Wilk was already, and I told you this back when he got named the interim, part of the reason they went to get rid of Matt Rule for 2 reasons. Number 1, it was because it vastly increased the chances that Matt Rule would be able to get a college job of his choosing. It increased the probability that that college team would pay Matt Rule over $40 million, meaning the firing would not cost David Tepper anything. And Steve Wilks would have been a hot head coaching commodity this offseason, so it allowed the Panthers to get an on-stage audition for the guy that would have been talked to by a lot of NFL teams. And if Steve Wilks came in and said, here's my resume, and the Panthers looked at it and went, yeah, you're the head coach now, Steve Wilks would also have had a full year in which to build up chemistry and camaraderie with the guys on this team. And they did that. He did that. That team did that. We have heard plenty of comments from Frankie Louvu and the boys on the defense that they are ride or die with Steve Wilks at this point. They are in his pocket. They're in his corner. That's his guy. That's their guy. So that win did a couple of things. Number 1, and we talked about this on the last episode of Views from Mint Street. I'll bring it to the attention here. 3 weeks ago, we took a look at the futures bets for divisional winners in the NFC South. At the time, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were minus 480. At the time, the Carolina Panthers were plus 2,200 at that point. All right. 22-1 odds that Carolina would be able to come back and win the NFC South. If you ever see a bet that is 2,200 to 1, it's not a great bet. The likelihood of that thing happening are not great. You want to know what the odds are today? Tampa has gone from minus 480 to minus 325. Carolina has gone from plus 2,200 to plus 400. Yo, if they drop from 2,200 to plus 1,400, that'd be a remarkable change in odds. They are now plus 400 to win
and
the
I
division.
believe that's changed since Monday.
Yeah, I think it was 450 on Monday.
I thought it was like 480.
480,
but
something
still,
like that?
Yeah.
So in a couple of days, they're still picking up ground on Tampa Bay. That's how ridiculous this looks. Now, Steve Wilkes is going to benefit in that the last 4 games of the season are significantly easier. Tampa Bay's got Cincinnati and San Francisco before they finish off with Carolina and Atlanta. Carolina has Pittsburgh and Detroit both at home, both in Charlotte, followed by road trips to Tampa and New Orleans. I'm going to tell you right now, in an NFC South, which is a dumpster fire, but where a champ gets to go anyway, the Carolina Panthers are 1 game back of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers who lead this division. Okay? 1 game back. And as of today, have the equal record tiebreaker by way of that heads-up defeat. If they can go to Tampa and beat Tampa, that is a full 1-game advantage when it comes to a tiebreaker scenario should the records be the same. Tampa might possibly be able to snag a victory in the next 2 weeks against Cincinnati and San Francisco, predominantly because, hey, Brock Purdy had a really great 1-game appearance, but we've seen a lot of quarterbacks who have come in, had one really great game because they were so hype for their first start, and then come back to where they're supposed to be.
Number 1 defense.
And they have the best defense in the NFL.
Don't forget that. Brock Purdy don't play defense.
Correct.
But Brady's going to have to go against the
San Francisco might win 2 or 3
defense.
games like 10-7, 13-10, something like that, right? They might get lucky and snag a win over Cincinnati or Atlanta. But the most likely outcome for me is that Tampa Bay loses back-to-back games before they welcome Charlotte to Tampa, before they welcome the Panthers down to Ray J. There are, to me, honestly, like, I know I've said that Tampa controls their own destiny in the division, and they do technically because, hey, if they win out, they're in. No matter what Carolina does, if Tampa wins out, they're in. But does anybody want to place a bet that Tampa goes 2-0 between Cincinnati and San Francisco before we go down there? No, I didn't think so.
I don't want people to think that I'm anti-Steve Wilkes. He has to better Matt Rule before I'm ready to go, hey, he's the guy.
Pittsburgh, Detroit, Tampa, New Orleans. Steve Wilkes, no E in that, starting in week 6 is going to surpass Matt Rule's top best overall single season win total. And he's going to win this division in the process. The shot has been called. I stand by it confidently. The Carolina Panthers are going to win the NFC South, and Steve Wilkes will be your head coach next year. No interim tag involved. We'll come back here in just a minute. We'll wrap up the show. I'm Rob, and he's Zoe. It's the Rob Brown on the Fan Upstate. Yo. Stuck the landing, ladies and gentlemen. Stuck the landing. Team Floppy Bacon, ladies and gentlemen. Man, I'm tired.
27 saves in the shutout. Carolina 16-6-6 with the win. They have points in 9 of 10 wins in 2 straight. Carolina tied for second in the Metropolitan Division, 6 points behind the first place Devils. They're back home tomorrow night hosting the Seattle Kraken.
The Kraken. How do we feel about that name?
I like it, but I'm a fan of Kraken, so you know.
So am I.
As in release the.
Guys, 2022's been a roller coaster year, so spoil her this Christmas by giving her the next best thing to wearing nothing at all with soft, silky, naturally nude pajamas. Exclusively from Pajamagram, sensuous and smooth, naturally nude pajamas feel just like her own bare skin, even more alluring than lingerie. The texture and touch of these pajamas is so seductive that you'll both love the feel of them. She'll love the feeling of wearing next to nothing at all, and you'll love the way they look. Best of all, Pajamagram does the wrapping for you with free gift packaging. Order today, and Pajamagram will also include a free matching naturally nude nightie with the purchase of naturally nude pajamas. That is free gift packaging and the free naturally nude nightie when you order today. Just go to pajamagram.com. It's fast, easy, and delivery by Christmas is guaranteed. That's pajamagram.com.
Dan Scott here. Furman takes on Stephen F. Austin downtown at the Well on Saturday. Pregame 3:30 p.m. for the Digital Winter Invitational. Right here on the Fan Upstate, 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 Spartanburg, and online at Odyssey.com and the Odyssey app. Search the Fan Upstate.
Both trucks are gone. They probably got upset about you talking about them on the air.
Good.
Just got up and left.
Now 4 people can park there instead of 2.
Traffic increase of 20% and a long-term roadmap for success. If you love great steaks, go to kansascitysteaks.com for website design, development, and online solutions that bring efficiency and results. Visit AmericanEagle.com. If you need results to your website, call the team at AmericanEagle.com at 877-WebNow1. That's 877-WebNow1.
Without the ones like you, who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you.
Oh, I thought we was about to have another one with that Ram, but they corrected. I'm sure they thought, oh crap, Rob Brown's watching. Got to fix this.
Good. I'm glad I'm making a difference.
And they made it perfect. Or it appears to be perfect. I can't see the other side.
This afternoon, occasional rain with a high of 44. Weather brought to you by Macy's. It's Macy's.
No, I'm wrong. I think she's over on the other side. I can't see the lines, but it, you know.
From the Angels Market Studio,
Upstate, 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg.
All right, it's time for Twitter trending topics where I tell Rob what is trending on the internet, and people need to quit spoiling. Quit sending stuff in. I appreciate listening and everything, but every time I'm like, I hope Rob doesn't look. I hope Rob doesn't look, and then he looks. And then I just strike it off the list. He tells me not to, but I don't care because it goes against the game, and it is a game about whether Rob knows or not. And if you spell it out on there, then I can't use it anymore because I don't want to cheat. All right, the first thing that's trending is Keith Lee.
Keith Lee. So I don't know if this is why, but I saw that Mia Yim got into it with a dude on Twitter because she put up a couple of pictures of her with other dudes that are wrestlers.
Yeah, one of them, I can see why some people would think it's her basically straddling Austin Theory.
Sure.
So, I mean,
she put up some pictures, which, I mean, depending on your outlook, could be viewed as inappropriate, I guess, for somebody in a relationship. And a bunch of dudes on the internet started like, oh, yeah, you're cheating on Keith Lee. If I was Keith Lee, I'd divorce you. Like, whatever, dude. If they're fine with it, if they're happy, then it ain't your business. And if they're not, then they'll split. Like, I don't understand the weird fascination with people inserting themselves into other people's relationships.
Well, if you're in the public eye, you also need to put some thought into how it will be taken by those same people who are cheering you and commenting and liking stuff are going to come at you if you put something like that. I just think
all right, I just found the picture. I don't consider that straddling.
it is what it is. You know, if they were laying down, it would be straddling. So what is it while standing up?
Second off,
no, what is it? I mean, I just
I don't
want to
know
know
what I would call it.
What
Like,
would you call it?
I would
Embracing with her legs. Is that what you would call it?
She has his legs, or she has her legs wrapped around his waist, and he is flexing while holding her up with the other arm. I'm going to say this. Over my lifetime, I've probably taken 400 to 500 pictures with women in that pose, and never once has it been sexual. It literally is just like.
All right. So for most people, and I can speak for most people, they would look at that and go, that's a bad look when you're married to somebody. And your outlook is different than not most people. I mean, I believe you're in a small portion of people who think that's okay. But that's the difference between us and apparently most of the people on the internet.
Here's what I'll say, because I've already got the question incoming. Rob, what would you do if you saw your girl take a picture with a dude like that?
Yeah, I'd have a problem with it. And I think a lot of people would.
I will tell you this. Like, if she did that with one of my buddies, like one of my friends, honestly wouldn't bother me. Like, all right, whatever. I don't care. I really don't. But again, I ain't Keith Lee and I ain't Mia Yim, so I'm gonna keep my business out because it ain't my business.
So she got off of Twitter because of it. So
Twitter's toxic, dude. Like, and for the record,
Yeah.
I've always said that.
well,
This isn't
it
an
is.
Elon thing.
It is for sure.
You will if you follow me on Twitter, especially if you have followed me for a long time.
Twitter's just for work for me.
If you have followed me for Twitter for any length of time, you have seen over the past probably 8 to 12 months a dramatic shift in my Twitter. I used to get into it on everything with people: politics, sports, science, religion. I used to get into all of it on Twitter. And now it basically is, here's a sports take and here's a dumb pun. Because people take it from, let's have an adult conversation about this thing, to let me just be trash. And I ain't got time for that, Zoe.
Speaking of that,
Vince McMahon is. Oh, sorry.
No. Toxic Attraction is trending.
Oh, okay, I was close.
That
was close.
That's what they're supposed to look like. They're trending.
NXT will be good tonight, I think. Right?
That was yesterday. And
NXT will be good when I watch it today,
And
right?
something happened that would make them trend.
Okay.
Like some
up, split
like possibly moving on up type things.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all for us. Jim Rome's got you up next in the jungle. And then coming up at 3, Mark Ryan and Diesel will take you off sides. Ladies and gentlemen, have a great rest of your day. Don't drink and drive. I will punch you in the face. And we shall see you back here tomorrow on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Later, brother. Mandy just tweeted, thank you, pray emoji, big eye, heart love emoji.
Yeah,
so they're heading up. Looks like it.
She lost last night.
Oh, she's definitely going up.
Yeah, but it's who she lost to that bothered me and how she lost.
Okay.
I don't mind her losing, but it was not a good way to for someone who has been champion for over a year to lose.
Yeah.
I would rather there have been a run in or something like that, and that cost her. But it was a straight up loss to someone who's not good enough yet, and have a theory as to why.
Was it that chick that won the?
And my theory as to why
Yeah,
is this has something to do with Booker T.
I'm
This has something to do with Booker T.
I am
like Booker T
fine.
said, yeah, I'll come to NXT,
but
if she becomes champion.
I think you're going a couple of levels deep.
Watch the match.
I will.
And listen to how much they go to Booker T on this and how they show him after it's over also.
I will keep that in mind. I will say this. For me to really be able to suspend the disbelief, every now and then an underdog has to win. And I don't mean a heel. I mean an underdog. I mean someone that should never win.
If they have the ability to do so. That's where I'm having a problem. There are a lot of other people on the roster. If they would have won, I'd have been okay with it.
Fair enough. All right, dudes and dudettes, thank y'all very much for hanging out with us. We will be back tomorrow, and we'll see you then. Have a great day. Goodbye.